Great Monday morning, everybody. Welcome back. Your midday hang. Annie and Elsten here with you, ready to roll into a full week of live local San Diego sports talk on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're all together. Annie Halbrun, I'm Craig Elsten. That's Braden Suprenant. We are here in our Odyssey studios. It is a chilly, crisp autumn morning here in America's finest city. And we're ready to roll till 2 o'clock with plenty of fun stuff to talk about. What's going on, Annie? How are you?
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. This microphone is very aggressive to me this morning.
It's also gross. So.
It's very aggressive. It's like aggressively
gross?
upright. No, I needed to like...
Aggressively upright.
Well, I was going to make a Woodsy joke, and then it just made itself for it.
Exactly.
There it is.
I needed to
Wow.
I needed to
Settle down.
Aggressively upright, she says.
Yes.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Good start to the week.
Here we go.
Good start to the week. Great start to the week. Great start to a full week before next week, which is Thanksgiving week.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. We are rolling toward the holidays full speed. Is it okay to be putting up Christmas decorations at this point on
Yes.
November 18th?
Oh my God, yes.
I think it depends where you're at. Like my cousin and her husband live in Colorado, and her husband was putting up lights, and she was like, "We got to get the lights up before it snows again." And it becomes a pain in the ass to put up lights.
I agree with.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you. Once it starts snowing in Colorado, you got a little bit of a break from snow. Put the lights up so you don't have to do it in the snow. I'm on board with that.
I'm feeling that, and I'm with you. And I'd like to shout out everyone in my neighborhood who actually has the interim decorations. That's just fall foliage and a turkey.
Fall,
You know.
That's lame.
That's
Just
what my
A couple
house is
inflatable
on the inside.
pilgrims.
Well,
a couple like a Snoopy
Put
pilgrims.
up your lights already, people. Put up your trees and your lights and stop fighting it.
How about this? My dad, he puts up the lights before Thanksgiving, but he does not plug them in until the night of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
He doesn't want to be the guy in the house that has the lights up before Thanksgiving, but
he does.
He wants to get it done and wants to get them up on the house. He just won't plug them in until the sun sets on Thanksgiving, and
That's
then he's like,
smart.
"We can flip them on now."
Yeah.
I can find a weekend where you could do it before.
Right.
It's like, let's get it done, but I'm not going to plug them in and rack up my electricity bill more than it needs to be before the month of December. So he plugs it on the night.
I wouldn't actually describe it as a battle, more of a radio bit, but we are having that battle at home this weekend. It was my son was like almost taunting me, like, "Can I set up some Christmas stuff? I want to put up." I'm like, "Is it Thanksgiving? I didn't see the turkey. Where's the turkey? I mean, the Lions are on, but it's a Sunday."
I noticed a lot of people started early this year. A lot of people were like right after Halloween, just putting that up.
Well, I don't get it. I mean, I don't get it.
I get it.
I did see on social media, I saw, like those inflatable things, right?
Yeah.
Those inflatable decorations, and they have like a Santa, and there's a turkey, and they rigged it so the turkey's on top of Santa, and they have him hostage, and the sign that the turkey's holding is "Not yet, fat man."
Yes,
See, that's
I like
funny.
it. I like that.
I'm all for that.
That's good stuff.
That's
I love that.
good. So yes, I'm all for the interim decorations. I have no interim decorations, but one more week. I'm holding the line. Wow, I think it
just
got a little more aggressive.
it's if you were all watching on the broadcast, it's very much pause on that point. Yeah. Definitely,
Why is that
definitely
microphone
got excited.
super excited
I
for you
don't
to
know.
be
It's
there?
like
You want to know why?
I just want it to turn too. Like I don't like it up. I like it side, but like I tap it.
I don't
and it's
like it up. I
"Arr."
like it to the side. Well, you know what the problem is nobody's used that
That's not in
mic.
general for life.
Nobody
That's
has
with the microphone.
used.
Got it.
Nobody has used that mic since you used it on Friday.
It wasn't like this on Friday.
I'm just. It's been bored. It has
It's
had
been
no
doing
use.
its own thing.
It's
Yes.
had no use since Friday at 1:50 the last time you used it, because Tony wasn't in and we didn't have Woods today. So
Someone used it, Braden.
I don't think anybody's used that
Sammy was in
microphone.
here or something.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Woods lost to the world. Hope he's feeling better. Strep throat. In here Friday with
Hope
strep
he's feeling
throat.
better. Yes. Feel better soon, Woodsy.
He forgot that they replayed the show on Friday. He actually forgot. That tells you how sick he was.
You forgot. Okay.
Because they, remember, Gwen and Chris were off on Friday.
I heard it as we were driving out of here.
Right?
Yeah.
So you heard his whole extremely sick-sounding rant of, don't text me asking me
that was funny.
for stuff and favors.
Yes.
So I was assuming his phone was getting inundated at that point by people, trolling him and sending him such things. So I joined in and asked him if he would, link me up with somebody at Sedano Ford. I wanted to buy a car this week.
Yeah.
And he was just like, sure, buddy, I'll figure out the name. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm busting your balls. Didn't you hear your bit? It just played.
That's right.
And he's like, oh, I forgot.
That's when you know you're extra sick.
Exactly.
You're just not comprehending anything that's going on.
Well, I hope you're feeling better, Woodsy. I'm sure you just have the 97.3 The Fan feed up all day.
I'm sure that's
just
nursing you to
rolling.
health.
Right. Well, or convincing him to take another day off, one way or the other. We're all set to roll for you today. As usual, Monday, we got so much to recap. Some of these things will undoubtedly spill into Tuesday's program. I am going to the game tonight.
Hey, did you get a little credential from
Mr. Klug?
Mr. Klug, who was in the chat letting us know that holiday decorations will be up in our studio forthcoming.
Is he going to do it?
I don't know. I don't think you should do it, Adam. No one thinks Adam should do it. You have enough to do.
Next week you should do it,
The
Adam.
Kixie studio adds 5 more things a day every time you walk past.
Yeah, it's decked out. And no one's ever in there. No offense to Kixie. Rarely are people in there.
But the
Just
Christmas music.
just
Well, the
the
elves.
decoration.
They do
The
have
elves
the
and
elves,
Santa
yeah.
that run the station
Yeah,
during Christmas
yeah.
time.
It should be a fun game tonight. That's great that you're going. Ben's going too, I believe.
Yeah, he's going for Channel 10. I don't know who else from the station might be going or not, but, Aztecs, Gonzaga, and I don't want to put too much
You'll have
on
a great
the
bird's eye
text.
view.
Yes.
Is that where? I don't know. Where's,
Yeah, you'll be up
at the
you'll be
top,
up in the
yeah.
rafters.
But
Really?
it's good. It's
Yes,
a
that's
good.
that's where
You
they
get
put
to
you.
spread out right there. Yeah.
Cool.
Especially
All
for
right.
Yeah.
big games, the extended media that's not there every day.
Hey, listen, I'm
are
all
up there,
for it.
up
I'm
at the
fine
top.
with that.
It's better. It's a great view. You
Closer
It
to
is.
the exit.
You're
you
right
know?
next to the show.
You're next to concessions. You're next to the show.
The bathroom's quick.
The
but
bathrooms.
The only
Yeah.
downside is if you want to go get an interview after. That's a long haul down. But you're right next to the
Don't need
student
to.
section,
Yeah.
so you'll have a bird's eye view of the student section, hopefully causing a ruckus.
Yeah, and I'm there to work in the sense of preparing for the next day's show, watching the game, giving you a real report with my own eyes tomorrow right here on Annie and Elsten. I'm going in with very modest expectations tonight. Team is a shell of itself.
I wouldn't say shell of itself.
No bird, no waters.
Not fully healthy, but they still have players who are going to
Play.
play
Freshmen?
and they're gonna play hard.
They
I think they have players who are
players
gonna
that are
play
going to
hard.
play.
They
and gonna
will.
go out there and give Gonzaga a run for their money.
Maybe, and I hope so.
Gonzaga's been pretty good. Ugh.
Yeah, they're really, really
Yeah.
good. They're really good, and they're like 11.5-point favorites in
I know.
Viejas Arena.
But you know, this
So-
is why we love it. This is why we love sports. Anything can happen.
And sometimes does, and maybe it will, and that'll be really exciting if it does. But I'm going in with modest expectations. I just want to see the Aztecs not get run off their own court. That's basically it.
I mean, they normally don't play Gonzaga this early. They had scheduling conflicts that made it such. They're a team that's still trying to figure themselves out with the Aztecs, missing 2 very key players. Oh, well, if Bird doesn't go today, but
If he does,
I
I'm
don't-
more worried.
right. I don't know that Bird would even be at full strength if he did.
Yeah.
But the Zags, they returned 4 starters. They added the 2 big transfers. They've been playing really well. It could be something, too, where if they met farther down the schedule and you had a healthier team, different story. But, I mean, look, SDSU went in there last year. The Kennel beat them. That was in December. So Gonzaga's going to be looking to get their own little revenge tonight as well.
Yeah, all I'm really saying is, if you're on board for the Aztec season, you're on board for the season. This game is one game in
Sure.
the season, and it's very early. And for some folks, it'll be like, oh, yep, San Diego's, if Gonzaga wins and scores 95 points tonight, oh, well, there you go. Guess that's not our team. But I'm not saying that. I think the Aztecs are a very young team that the 2 guys that you'd really count on to carry the water tonight probably aren't out there. So what's going to happen? It really is kind of I don't know. Maybe we're going to be really excited and the Aztecs will be up 6 at halftime.
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens. That'd be a great report tomorrow morning if the Aztecs come out and really hang with the Zags. But I mean, listen, they're good for a reason. They got NBA skill on that team. They got a lot of guys on that team. So I'm just going in hoping to see a ball game. You know what I mean? Hoping that it's not one that I'm at halftime going, yeah, I can check out of here. We're down 22. I think I can go home and get some night's sleep for the show tomorrow.
I mean, it's a real test. Dutch is going to have them prepared. At the same time, they are a new team trying to find their way. They're still growing. No real returning players. It's a good team against them. So, yeah, I mean, you want SDSU to show up and show out and at least make it close or win. I mean, look, we talk about it as if it's already a foregone conclusion that they're going to lose, and they might not lose.
Maybe they'll win.
Yeah, this is, you're gonna show up prepared. If you're a Brian Dutcher coach team, you're going to show up prepared.
Basketball is one of those games, like being up at the 30-minute mark is one thing. Being up at the 35-minute mark is another. Can you close a game against a great team? We're going to find out some stuff about the Aztecs tonight, but all I was trying to kind of say is I don't think anything we find out tonight's definitive.
No, and I mean, look, Dutch told the UT in an article that I think came out this weekend, or I forget, Friday maybe this weekend. But he said, look, we're going to find out a lot about our team and how they respond to disappointment, right? How they respond to adversity if things don't go our way. You've got a tough stretch after this, right? You've got Creighton, Oregon, then you've got the Players Era Festival, you've got that Vegas tournament. So, I mean, it's going to be a pretty challenging stretch here, and you want to be able to hang with them at least through it. But Dutch is right. I mean, this is an opportunity for the team if things don't go their way tonight to figure out how you're going to respond and how you're going to pick yourselves up and continue in what's going to be a battle of a stretch.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the atmosphere. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm hoping that the game lives up to the atmosphere. Real quick, and we'll talk about...
The atmosphere is going to be great.
Atmosphere is going to be amazing.
It's going to be sold out.
Will the game live up to it?
I know.
That's the
people
question.
from 97.3 The Fan will be there, having won their tickets.
That's right.
That's true.
Yes.
Will they be seated right next to us?
I don't know.
Highly possible.
Will Joe Musgrove be there? He tends to show up.
If he is, he'll
will
be
Mike Schilt
courtside.
be there? Right.
Mike
Courtside.
Schilt, I don't know. Will Mike Schilt be there?
Will Bud Black be there?
Yes.
Yes.
Aztec for life.
I'm going to say
Already
Bud Black
there's
will
excitement.
be there.
Steven Strasburg going to be there? He was at
Probably.
He was at San Diego State the other day.
Yes. Then yes.
Will Mark Melanson be there?
Yes.
100% yes. The Shark will be
The
there.
Shark will be there?
He will be there.
Is Tony Gwynn Jr. going?
Throwing mental cutters at Gonzaga. I don't know if Tony Gwynn Jr. is going.
Will Jackson Merrill be there? And if he is there, will he have more hardware to bring with him?
Walks onto he's got courtside seats. He's got a Rookie of the Year championship belt, like a WWE.
Just
thing.
holds just giant gold chain.
Wait, what's that
I would have
music?
so much
Back
respect
up.
for him if he did that. He
That's
sat
Jackson
down.
Merrill's walk-up song. He comes out of the thing. He's got the belt, Rookie of the Year belt.
He just places it on himself as he
That's
sits
right.
back down.
Walks in.
Hey,
Big WWE episode.
somewhere I don't know. Somewhere in a social media feed, it said that Merrill was the betting favorite today over Skeens. He was like minus 800, and Skeens was plus 400 or something like that. I don't know. You see it on the internet. Doesn't mean it's true. Could have been made by a Padre fan for all I know.
I don't know.
But we'll know at 3. We'll know an hour after our show is off the air. So we'll lead with it obviously tomorrow. Whether he's the Rookie of the Year and the Padres just bogarted another #1 draft pick for next year's draft, and whether the ultimate gold star has been put on an incredible rookie campaign, or whether Paul Skeens wins, because it's going to be one or the other. Jackson Churio gets to finish third.
Yeah. Jackson Churio ended up having a really good season, but you comparatively to Skeens and Merrill, he just falls short. It's still a great season. That's one where if he wasn't up against those guys, you could see where he could win it, and really ended up being great for the Brewers and especially second half being a big presence for them. But I don't think it's going to be enough to overtake Skeens or Merrill.
No, and we've said it all. We can talk more about Merrill's season. You probably remember it. It was quite good.
Yes, very good.
He had quite a year. Is it going to be enough to get the writers' votes? We'll find out at 3 o'clock. It was good enough to get either first or second place. That's all we really know.
good enough to lead all rookies in pretty much every category, but also to be among the greats who are not rookies, just general MLB top 5, top 10 offensive categories. He was right up there.
Yeah. No, he was honestly like a franchise changer. That was that type of year. If he can build off it, it's a franchise changer. When you get players as good, as dedicated as Jackson Merrill, as passionate when it comes to his craft, as positive, energy,
As
bringer
clutch.
of energy.
Yeah.
Somebody who adds energy to your group as opposed to taking energy away from your group. That's Jackson Merrill. Incredible season. Let's hope. If it doesn't, then he finished second to the guy.
If it doesn't, then it's just a matter of, yes, choosing pitching over being an everyday player. A lot of us would not go that route, but we don't get these votes. They go to the baseball writers, and they'll have their reasoning for doing it, but it's going to be nothing against Merrill if he loses.
And if he wins, then we get to do the Netflix documentary. It's got the perfect final scene. Hey, when we come back, first time out is coming up. That was some hopefully interesting or good stuff. We're talking about the Aztecs. I guess we weren't super hype on it, so
I'm hype on it.
You're hype.
I'm
Yeah.
super hype on that.
Are you
game.
hype on it,
That
I'm
game's
Brendan?
hype.
legit.
I just don't know if we're going to win or not. But
Well,
it's
I mean,
true with all sports.
I think
Are
you're-
we,
I think-
are we only
yeah,
going to talk
yeah.
about sports
I think
of,
you're worrying
of
about it
events
too
that we think
much.
we're going to win? I'm in.
Right.
We
Just go
actually
enjoy
we
yourself,
post up
man.
every day for Padres
Shock,
baseball.
yeah, that's right. Shock the world. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's that big of a
I think it'll be closer than you think.
spread. I know. Just because they beat Baylor at home doesn't mean they're just some world beater. It's college basketball. I mean, it's hard to win on the road.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to win on the road.
That's true. That's
Especially at Viejas Arena. There's not a lot of schools that could go in there and win. That's why they had, like, when they have the new holiday tournament here, right?
Yep.
And Mark, no, he can't. He got agreements from schools as long as we don't have to play San Diego State at San Diego State. That was like the big caveat for a lot of big time programs. We don't want to play San Diego State at San Diego State. Nobody wants to come here to play the Aztecs at Viejas Arena. None of those big schools insert traditional basketball school here. They are terrified to play at Viejas Arena. So why would Gonzaga be any different?
All right. Now I'm hyped.
Hyped.
Perfect. Well
Greg's
done.
hyped.
Well done. Another good thing's coming up this weekend, the Open Division Final for high school football. We've got somebody who'll be on the sideline for that. We got to talk about that as the hour continues.
I'm just kidding.
Annie doing the
Just kidding,
sideline
just
reporting
kidding.
for the high
Are you?
school
No,
game.
no.
I mean, that'd be cool.
Good old
I don't
Braden
think the
will
game's
be
on. I don't think the
giving
game's
us the
on TV.
report. Yes.
Yes. Brand new.
Really? The game's not going to be on TV?
Not on linear TV. I'm sure it'll be on NFHS. That's a
Not even on your view?
no. Your view. I talked to Cronin about that. Your view can't get access to the playoffs. They are getting charged too much money by CIF to air them, so it'll be on NFHS instead, which is online streaming that you have to pay for. So not the free. I remember when I was in high school, those games used to be on Channel 4
I used
to
at
announce
Qualcomm
those
Stadium.
games.
That thing
That's
was
right.
that was fun.
Me
And
and
now
Jack
it's,
used to call those games.
Yeah.
and now
R.I.P. Channel 4.
now no TV rights for your view or anything like that. It's
That
all
stinks.
online for NFHS, which is lame.
I remember calling a Cathedral Championship on Channel 4. Interception that they got that they ran back all the way. Or
Oh,
maybe it was a fumble.
That
I
was
forget.
the year after I graduated. That was the game against San Pasquale.
Yep.
in the D1 final.
Great
That's right.
game. Great
That's
game.
right. Jack Onstott, forever in Cathedral lore, for the interception for a touchdown. And the best part about that was before overtime, Coach Doyle was like, this is not like 2-point conversions of the regular season. You can actually return an interception to the house, which he told everybody before the deal. And if you watch San Pasquale, they didn't know that rule because they just start walking off the field.
Yeah.
And they don't try to tackle him.
And then he goes down the sideline.
Yes.
Championship in his arm.
That's great.
Running it down the
Great
field.
moments of high school football. Yeah, and St. Augustine 0-10 in the regular season.
Went to the, won
went
twice.
and played 10-0 Holtville
I saw that.
and beat them 10-6.
I saw that.
And the rating system predicted them to win, almost like it knows what it's doing.
So we've got some good to talk about in the next segment right there. You heard a tease of it. And we are also going to talk about Friday night's online spectacle on Netflix. Paul Tyson. Hey, talk about that too. Annie and Elsten. Whoa!
I was going to do
Microphone
that. I was
likes
going
it.
to do that for Tyson's butt cheeks.
Yeah.
So very.
And Mike is excited.
Mike is excited for Mike's butt cheeks.
Someone posted 2 loaves of bread being baked in 2 black pans. I just put it up. It was like Tyson.
I didn't see that one, but it is something that will live in sports lore.
Hopefully
for
not for
all
long.
time.
Hopefully not long. We'll talk about it all when we come back. Andy and Elsten underway. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:26 on the Fan. Welcome back, everybody, to Annie and Elsten. Saturday morning went golfing. Went to used to be called Eagle Crest up in Escondido, a course that's been in.
I'm sorry, sir. The What's Good segment is next.
I know. I'm going to tie this back to you. Watch. You just hang on. The arc of this segment will bend right back to you momentarily. So Eagle Crest, always a course that it's like a beautiful layout in a beautiful area, but it's a terrible course because it just hasn't been kept well.
Right.
And so literally the fairway will be dirt and piles.
Where's this at again?
Escondido.
Is this the one next to San Pasquale?
Yeah, it's no. The vineyard is right next to San Pasquale.
Okay.
This is further down that road.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like 4 or 5 miles down that road.
I played at the vineyard.
Yeah, me too.
Before.
It's nice place. So JC Golf has taken it over, and they've shut it down the last 6 months, and now they soft reopened it as a new name, Dos Osos, 2 bears, and it's gonna
thanks for the translation.
Yeah, gonna completely be redone in February.
Shout out El Oso.
El Oso.
Catcher.
Who's El Oso?
The bear.
Who was the bear?
Like the Netflix show?
No. Walk-offs, catcher, mom, big.
Alfaro?
Thank you.
Was El Oso? I never knew that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Rich is right. They turned the fountains off and stopped watering. So, anyways, my point is that it's halfway there. The greens are terrible. Awful. But most of the fairways have been redone. And I was on the first fairway, and it was like literally strips of sod. It hasn't fully taken in yet. You could still kind of feel like, I'm almost feel like I'm coming up on a parquet floor, like in terms of it's just strips. And, when I took a little chunk out of it, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm destroying your renovation. And that, Braden, got me thinking about when Cathedral and Lincoln run out for the Open Football Championship at the newly resodded Snapdragon Stadium. That will be their soft open of sorts, is the high school championship this week, as opposed to the next Aztecs game and whatnot, to try and get that dang field right. And you'll be one of the first people to see whether their efforts have literally taken root or not.
It's true, 100%. And I immediately was thinking, the Fiesta Bowls, because the Fiesta Bowl field is always brand new, and they roll it in, right? They have it outside in Arizona. They roll it in. It's just a slippery mess every time you watch the Fiesta Bowl play. Or even like the Super Bowl when it's played in Arizona. So that was my initial thought was maybe this could either be really, really good or really, really bad. So hopefully it's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm hopeful too, but the game should be really good. I mean, you guys met once before this year already.
Yeah, it'll be a rematch. 2 schools that play each other in the same league every single year. 2 of the best schools in town, probably the best 2 schools left in the bracket. Obviously, number 1 and number 2 in the city of San Diego. So should be a fun contest, and I really think, based on the brackets further down for the Southern California semis and the state championship, I think this could be the state championship game on Saturday night, because I like the way Lincoln and Cathedral both match up against the Southern Section Division II winner, and I do like the way that they match up against the potential Northern California winner as well. The best team in Northern California always goes to the Open. That's probably going to be De La Salle. And they're going to just get absolutely bludgeoned by Mater Dei. And then the next one down is usually a Folsom or St. Mary's or something like that. I got to look at the Northern California list. It's probably going to be Folsom, which will be a good battle, but I think Lincoln and Cathedral look good against that. And Lincoln has already beaten a couple of teams that were in the Division II playoffs for the Southern Section. So I think San Diego's got a good chance of winning a state championship with these 2 teams that win out on whoever wins out on Saturday.
I wish you guys the best of luck. I mean, historically, I'd root for the public school over the private school, just as a guy who went to public school.
This guy went to public school.
Yeah,
they've determined that honestly doesn't mean anything anymore. Based on the Southern Section, I think the public schools won more than the private schools, and enrollment has no factor anymore. And it's everybody is. You could get. At this point in time, any kid in San Diego can go to any school in San Diego with simple paperwork. So it's wide open for everybody now.
That is true. So that'll be something good coming up later this weekend. Saturday night, not Friday night.
Saturday night at 7 at Snapdragon Stadium.
Now, this previous Friday night, which had plenty of great high school football going on, also had Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. And, you can find, I think you can definitely find some good stuff throughout. As you mentioned, the women's fight was good. There was a fight earlier that a lot of people were saying was like just an incredible fight that they loved. When I tuned in, what I saw was just pixelated. Because I had some buffering. I didn't have freezing, but mostly throughout the entire women's fight and all of the pregame whatever, everyone just looked like Minecraft characters, just like big pixels on pixels. Because, of course, Netflix couldn't answer the bell. I mean, they set something up for a massive live streaming event, trying to flex their muscles as the worldwide's greatest live streamer, understanding that they're going to have a Christmas Day doubleheader of National Football League games coming up in a month. And they dropped the ball straight up. I mean, it wasn't really until after the fight was over that I finally got a non-blurry image. And it worked on my phone. Ooh. When I was walking around, like it worked on my phone better. Didn't work well on the big screen. And I think, based on a lot of the stuff I read and people I've talked to, I got the good side of it. A lot of folks just got the spinning red circle.
I got the spinning circle for a little while and then came back to it, left it for a little while, came back to it. Not during the actual fight. The actual fight I had, but the pre-entertainment leading up to it, I got the spinning circle a few times and then just popped out and popped back in like maybe 10 or 15 minutes later. To me, this was a spectacle, but you knew that going in. It was never going to be this amazing boxing fight. This was Netflix putting on what their version of entertainment was in this arena. The pregame festivities from Mike Tyson's butt cheeks to Jake Paul driving out in that slow roll entrance, and then Mike Tyson just walks out on his own like, I'm not doing any of that. The whole thing was just cheesy, but I thought in a way that it was meant to be. It was never going to be anything more than that, I didn't think. And if I had signed up for this, if I had gone out of my way to get it or paid money for it, I'd be more upset. But if you had Netflix already and you were not watching anything else on a Friday night, what was this? I mean, this was just like something for you to laugh at a few times, maybe talk to your friends about. For me, with Mike Tyson, it's like he has such a checkered past and obviously has spent time in prison and has the rape conviction. But he's also a guy who grew up in a very tough neighborhood in New York, reinvented himself several times, owned 3 tigers, one of the best boxers in the world. It was kind of, for me, like a glimpse back through that, like who is Mike Tyson and the guy, the man that he has become and fallen from and then lifted back up. So I just thought it was, it was entertaining in that sense, but I didn't lose sleep over it, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's absolutely fine. I mean, I didn't, and with anything that, comes out of my mouth in the next 2 minutes, understand I didn't lose sleep over it either.
He didn't look good boxing, I will say that.
It was an embarrassment to the concept of boxing. The entire thing was an embarrassment to the concept of boxing. And Jake Paul should be embarrassed at himself. He should be embarrassed with himself. And I know he's not. In fact, he's rolling like, Scrooge McDuck. He's probably diving through his sea of coins right now.
Well, that's the thing. They all made money. Netflix, supposedly 60 million viewers. And I think that they will have to fix some of these streaming issues by the time the NFL rolls around because the NFL's its own entity. I think that they will have a standard that they've got to hit. I don't think things are going to go well for them if it doesn't go well for the NFL. The NFL is going to crack down somewhere on that,
But this fight was, this is just what I kind of want to make clear because I feel like it actually is really indicative of where we are right now, societally, in terms of media consumption and such.
It's a social media fight.
This fight was an abomination. It was an absolute abomination. And let me tell you, for the 70-something thousand people who paid God knows how much to be inside the Jerry Dome for this, it was an unmitigated ripoff that they knew from about 4 minutes into the fight. And the reason that I can say that with absolute conviction on the radio this morning is because that crowd rained booze down on that fight from the 4th through the 8th round nonstop. And Netflix did everything they could to turn down the booze, to try and change the audio environment, and they had their crew completely ignore what was actually happening around them, which was 70,000 people. Boo! Through rounds, all the way through rounds, as Tyson just stood there, as Paul danced around him, as the CompuBox score comes up, and Tyson's like 1 for 7 in the round. He threw 7 and he hit 1.
But if you bought tickets to this thing, I hope that you were smart enough to buy tickets to a spectacle and what you hope would just be the opportunity to see Mike Tyson in person. You don't know how he's going to show up at 50-something years old. I kept thinking...
It should never happen.
But says who? They all made money off of it.
But he's 58. It's embarrassing. You should not fight somebody 30 years older than you. It's ridiculous.
I don't think Logan Paul is... Oh, Jake Paul. Which Paul was it?
It was Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Logan Paul was there, too.
I heard him challenge Logan, yeah. It's not like I walk away from this. I'm like, Logan Paul is some great fighter. I can't wait to see him box someone else. No, he's probably going to box some other celebrity, some other whatever. It's just going to be, and that's going to grow old. I think tuning into this one, the draw was Mike Tyson and to see maybe what Jake Paul brought to the table. But every time Jake Paul is going to go fight a celebrity, am I going to tune in every time? Heck no.
Yeah, and I get it. The fight that happened 2 fights earlier in the undercard was a real fight.
Yeah.
And it was a really good fight. The women's fight was a real fight.
It was, and she got robbed.
And it was a really good fight, and I agree. She should have won, and she didn't win. And then what followed was a complete sham. It was an absolute sham. Nobody 58 years old should ever be in a boxing ring for real. Like, for real.
No, I agree. So who decides that, though? I agree with that, except that you had a full packed Jerry's World. You had people who paid money. You had 60 million tuning in on Netflix. So says who? You know what I'm saying?
Well, right. The Texas State Commission can sign off on it.
I guess they could.
And then it's a fight.
Say, Mike, nope.
Woo, but it's all a sham. It's all a sham. It's all for moneymakers. It's a created reality. And I think that was the thing that I really felt resonating with me as I watched was the booze raining down, nothing happening, and an announce crew that's been paid to do a thing. Oh, there's incredible action here. Can you see it? He's in trouble now.
They were cheesy, too. The over-the-top
my
broadcast.
God. It's like, no, I'm sorry. If Jim Lampley was there, he would have been like, this is not a boxing match. Why is it happening? This crowd is booing nonstop. They never mentioned at even one point that the crowd booed nonstop for like 70% of the fight.
I kept thinking that Tyson was just reserving his energy, and it was part of like the theatrics, maybe like the later rounds.
Right.
He was going to suddenly his knees were going to start working better, and the problem with him, I felt like, was he couldn't move around.
No, because he's 58. Fighting a 27-year-old. The man should be ashamed of himself. Not Tyson, Paul. Should be ashamed of himself for even setting it up. But it's all a sham. It's all for the gram. It's all for the TikTok. It's all for the YouTube. It's the Mr. Beast philosophy. Like, lowest common denominator. It worked. Everyone was there. And they all got ripped off. And they all rained booze down. And then the next day the story was, it was a fight. It was this and that. But the fact that everybody was pissed off and hated it was like quickly elided. Let's get to the next thing. Let's get to the next thing. And I don't like to live in that reality. The one where it's just like, hey, this is a uniquely terrible thing. No, you enjoyed it. You actually did enjoy that. I'm like, no, that was garbage, man.
I didn't mind the Mike Tyson part. I know that sounds stupid, but you're 50-something. You want to get in the ring. You want to be trying to do this. You are a legend. You have done so much in your life to be this epic boxing icon. He deserves all the respect in the world for his career. The problem is Jake Paul cashing in on this in the way that he did.
Right.
He did cash in quite a bit, and we all gave him that opportunity. But I don't know if he keeps trying to do it. Don't you think it grows old after a while? It's Jake.
It's old now. When he was in the ring afterwards, after the most obvious decision, and by the way, we were on the air, and I said it would be all clinching, there would be no fighting, and it would be a decision for Paul.
Well, he does his respectful little bow at the end, and I'm like,
sure.
okay, Jake.
Yeah. But then he's interviewed, and he goes, this isn't about me. And right then I had to just turn it off. This isn't about
Everything
me.
is about you,
It's
buddy.
about the
Entire thing.
firefighters and the policemen and the first responders.
Oh yeah, I
and
thought that was.
This
lame.
is an era
Yeah.
of
not
truth.
not the first responders
Yeah.
and all them, but that he was kind of using that as his platform. It was
using,
like, come on,
wrapping
dude.
yourself
Right.
in that is
Yeah.
garbage.
To, like, lift himself,
You
right.
just fought a 58-year-old man.
Where's
Like,
the
congrats.
Where's the gif of Woody Harrelson in Zombieland just crying
Yeah.
in his tears? The guy is a boxer, but he's really a marketer and a promoter, and he's made a ton of money doing it,
Yeah.
doing a bunch of foolish things, and he's going to continue to just have smoke and mirrors all over the place to make it look like he's this fighter or this boxer, even though he will not ever box somebody that is his weight class at his caliber. He will never, get into a UFC ring and do UFC with somebody of his weight class. I mean, he called out Conor McGregor at the end of the deal on social media about fighting him, but he wanted an unlimited weight class for a guy that hasn't fought in a long time to make it look like he's some stud. But it's just, again, he never fights by the same rules of the real fighters. He turns them down because he knows he would lose, and if he were to lose, he would lose all his,
That's
great
it.
marketing
Clout
ability.
chase. It's just a clout chase. The whole thing was a gigantic clout
That's
chase.
probably why they didn't also make it paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where you had to subscribe and pay for the fight, because that would have been a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah. Well, at least Netflix got to find out that their servers need some work.
Yeah, they're servers.
And by the time we did get to the main event and things did clean up a little bit, I just assumed that, like, at that time, nobody in India could watch Netflix at all. Like, they just turned all the servers over to the United States and was like, everything to the Tyson fight.
I went to dinner that night, and I came back thinking that they had already fought. I was looking for the winner, and they hadn't yet, and it was still pretty late. I mean, by the time they fought, it was pretty late in the night from when they started, and I
it's
feel like they
ridiculous.
kept
It started
pushing
after
it.
midnight East Coast time.
Right. They kept pushing it back because they couldn't get their servers, I thought. I felt like maybe, now who knows, maybe the fighters had things going on and they kept pushing it back on their end. I don't know, but I was thinking that, like, are they just trying to get this thing up and running?
Let's take a break. We got to. We've got a short What's Good. When we come back, we'll switch. It won't be that. It'll be something else from the weekend that was. Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports stations, 97.3 The Fan. 10:49 on the Fan. Annie and Elsten back with you. Every Monday, we love to take a look back at the weekend that was and maybe something good that came out of it from each of our various perspectives. Separating for the weekend, coming back together. It's time for What's Good. What's good, Annie?
So my what's good is going to go to USD Soccer.
All right.
Hit a three-peat.
Brian Quinn.
Yes,
That's right.
Brian Quinn does a great job. And I'm sure you know him, right?
Yep.
He's an excellent person.
Amazing.
So, yes, so much fun, so much energy. Does a great job with this team. So they are, for the third consecutive season, the West Coast Conference champions in soccer. So congratulations. They await an NCAA regional bid. I
They
think
got
that's
it?
they got it. Okay,
Yeah,
there
they
you
will
go.
be hosting UC Davis. I just got it from USD.
Awesome.
They will be hosting UC Davis on Thursday night at 7 o'clock at Torero Stadium. And if they win, so they didn't get a first-round bye, which is kind of BS. There were three in the country, and then they lost to Portland, and then dropped them out of the top 25 somehow.
Okay.
Near the bottom of the top 25, which is ridiculous. No respect for the West Coast. So USD will play UC Davis. The winner will go out and play Duke, who San Diego already played this year, and tied.
Oh.
So we'll see what happens
Well,
there.
good luck to them, and congrats. It's a great accomplishment.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should have Quinny on the show.
Let's get Quinny on the show.
I can get him on the show easily.
Let's do that. Let's get Quinny on. We should give some love to those guys. They've been top 5 team all year, right? They were as high as third, I think, before they dropped a game. Now they've won their conference. They're ready to roll into the
They were
playoffs.
projected to finish like third in conference this year, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, shock the world.
Yeah, love it.
Great stuff. What's good, Braden?
This weekend, obviously Friday night was fun with high school football, coaching in that game, and a blast coaching in the game against LCC. And then Saturday, a whirlwind tour of college basketball, calling it with Jack Cronin, and then doing college football with USD versus Stetson. And then after that, I went with my buddy to the Washington State alumni watch party that they do
nice.
each and every week. He's
Wow.
a Coug. Unfortunately, the Cougs
swanky.
lost, but they go to Tap Room in PB every game day, and the couple that are in charge of the chapter here in San Diego, big 97 through the Fan fans. They're friends with Matt Scraby, so got to meet and talk
Scrabinators.
to them. Yeah, some Scrabinators. They were super excited that I was there. I was unexpected to be there, obviously, but it was a good time at PB Ale House, at San Diego Tap Room. Obviously, wish the event ended better for the Cougs, but it didn't. PB was dead that night too. I mean, we're walking around at like 10 o'clock afterwards to the car on the way out. Not a single soul.
Really?
Except for a bunch of dudes watching the fights. I mean, it was basically just dude fest in PB watching the John Bones Jones fight. And then once that fight ended, PB cleared out.
Empty.
Going out on fight night's not necessarily fun because guys watch the fight, they get liquored up watching the fight, and then they want to fight. And so it's like, all right, all the bars opened up. I'm like, it's time to go. Time to get out of here. Time to stumble out. But it was
Head
fun.
on home.
Yep, time to get out of here.
Love it, man. Good stuff. Yeah, straightforward weekend for me. Nothing in particular on the personal level, I think, to report. Played a game of Wormspan, which is
I'm sorry?
like Wingspan.
that?
You ever heard of the game Wingspan?
No.
It's a lovely game. You might actually enjoy it. It's a little complicated, but it's basically about collecting birds.
Real
Just-
birds?
Not real bird, like bird, like it's a card game, like a board game. It's a board game,
Oh, okay.
a board game.
All right.
But like collecting birds.
Do you have like a little bird house where you put
kind
the
of,
birds?
almost
Like a little bird
kind of.
cage is what I meant.
Like a little.
Yeah.
You have a habitat that you're
Habitat.
that you're filling. Well, they have the same thing, but for dragons, and it's instead of a
wow.
yeah, and instead of a habitat, it's a cave.
How many dragons did you collect?
Like 10 or 11. I don't know.
Did you win?
No, I finished third. I was very happy to finish third. Very, very happy to finish
How do
third.
you collect the dragons? Like, is it like
there's
you go
game
pass
mechanics?
go, or
No,
like
kind of. No, but
you have to like breathe fire and
not exactly.
Okay.
But there's game mechanics to it. But it was quite enjoyable. It
All
was an
right.
enjoyable
I
game.
imagine board games can be very fun.
They are, yeah. Michelle and Julia, two geniuses, finished first and second.
I love it.
I got home to my brother and all his buddies playing Monopoly on Saturday night.
There's so many better games than Monopoly.
They mix it up though. They
like the birds and the dragons.
They play a different game like every time, and it was this time. I mean, they hadn't played Monopoly in forever. Yeah. They were. It was an intense battle. This guy's in a crouch like a coach. There's guys standing up. I was like,
gotta get that hotel built.
I'm going to bed. That's right.
Yeah. I was also just going to shout out, here's what's good. De'Aaron Fox is good. Little NBA love for you. The Kings guard is having to run by himself right now. Domantas Sabonis is hurt. Malik Monk is hurt. DeMar DeRozan is hurt. Those are the second, third, and fourth best players in the team. So he scored 60 points on Friday night, and then he scored 49 more points on Saturday.
Wow.
Back-to-back games, 109 points
That's
in 2 games. They went 1-1, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
Holy
good.
cow, man. 109 points in 2 games?
You'll take it.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's good.
He's doing all the work.
Is that good?
That's good.
No.
That's what's good.
That's what's good. There you go.
When we come back, hour number 2 of the program, including a baseball roundup right after this break. Hour number 2 of the program. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having yourself, the Monday of your dreams. 11 a.m. here on Annie and Elsten.
The double Craig. There's Annie.
Oh, we got the old double me.
We're seeing double vision early on a Monday. That's not good.
That feels very Monday.
That's not
You're
good.
getting 2 of me and one.
That's
2 of me and none of Annie. That's a Monday feel, right there. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. Get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. I keep threatening to go down to the store and.
Yeah, I think you should just do it.
Think so?
I think
What
you
happened?
Just do it already.
Why do you sound so?
Because her microphone is below her chin.
Well, now is it too low?
Yeah, it was.
I
You need it to
barely-
be
I can
more
barely hear you.
aggressively upright. It's
Well,
also pointing away
it's
from
also
you.
backwards.
Yeah, it's literally pointing away
That's
from
how
you.
Craig's is.
No,
Look
I'm
at the
talking
front,
into
like the
front of it.
face. We could see
You're
the
talking-
face of the
yeah,
microphone
the
on the
face of the
screen.
mic is facing yours.
Flip it.
Oh.
Flip the. Yeah,
There
you
you go.
Oh, wow. We can hear you now. Oh, my God.
It's
That's-
a Monday. Although that's just me every day. So,
Fair. You would have said, "Oh, it's a Thursday."
yeah, exactly.
It's Friday, guys. It's we don't hear
actually
that. We
Monday
don't
at
hear.
11.
We just, Annie's best day must be Tuesday
Tuesday, she's locked in.
because she doesn't complain a lot about Tuesday. She's like TCU football. They got a great practice every Tuesday.
Just locked in on
Whereas
Tuesdays.
Tuesday's great.
Quick baseball roundup for you in this segment. We like on Mondays just to kind of go sport by sport and figure out what's what. Normally, we're the most baseball-heavy show on the station. Nothing other than like the 2-3 things we're going to tell you this segment happened in baseball this weekend. This weekend, everyone chilled. They're setting the
They
stage.
really did. There
Yeah.
wasn't a lot.
Yeah, they're setting
Just
the
nothing.
stage. Setting the stage for the winter meetings in a couple of weeks. They're doing the groundwork. They're doing whatever they're doing. They're not doing much. This will be the awards week. As you've probably already heard, tonight's Rookie of the Year, tomorrow's Manager of the Year. Those are the ones that we care about because those are the ones we got guys in. And then it'll be Cy Youngs on Wednesday, and it'll be MVPs on Thursday.
This is the longest awards
Seriously.
season of any sport. Is it? I feel like
It really is. No, they do it on purpose. Drag it out.
So many awards.
Just drag it out. Drag it out.
But these are the ones that will give the Padres a draft pick, right? If Jackson Merrill
Just
wins.
Merrill, yeah. Now, Mike Schilt has
No,
nothing
Mike Schilt
attached to him.
doesn't get
He
that.
gets a brownie
And the Pirates don't get one if Paul Skeens wins the award.
because they did not bring him up at the beginning of the year.
Correct. But if Jackson Merrill wins and they get do you call it compensatory pick? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like after the first round, but
Yeah.
between the first and the second round.
So that's a bonus. And then, of
Huge.
course, it would be a huge honor for Jackson Merrill. But these are the big ones. And then after this, I think award season kind of ends, except for
Thank God, finally.
the Baseball Hall of Fame ballot. But that is not up to us. So,
Well, that just came out this morning.
yes.
That's actually the other thing. It wasn't
Yeah.
listed on our thing, but we can get into the Hall of Fame ballot in this segment as well. Yeah, that's it. It's January, the
Right.
announcement of the Hall of Fame. That'll be the next official thing that happens. In between, we'll have the GM meetings and we'll have some signings, hopefully here, there, and everywhere. But Rookie of the Year tonight, and it's going to be a two-person race, and we'll find out the result. As projected and predicted, Nick Martinez took a look at a $21 million offer and said, I'm just going to take that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
He'd be a fool not to.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing is that you're betting on yourself for next year that you'll be able to get another deal, a multi-year deal, another lucrative deal. But then again, you're getting $21 million in your pocket for this year. And Nick Martinez is someone who his entire career he has bet on himself. So I think you take this. And he did.
Yeah. If he was going to get 3 years and $32 million
Right.
in free agency, just take 21 right up the top.
And it's in your pocket.
And then whatever you get in the next couple of years is going to be added onto that. And then you'll
Yeah.
wind up over 32. I mean, I think Nick, honestly, I almost wonder if the Reds, a team that's not trying to break the bank and that has a decent number of young starters on their team, I wonder if they made a bluff and didn't expect to get called. Like if they really, if someone told them, oh, the Nick Martinez market is hot. You can put a QO on Martinez, and he's certainly going to go sign wherever, and then you'll get a first-round draft pick coming back your way. And they're like, cool, let's do that. Because, the second I saw they gave Nicky Mart a QO, I'm like, $21 million, Nick, you're never going to make that in a year. Go get that money.
It's a lot of tight pants he can buy. A lot of Nicky tight pants.
All of them.
I was a little surprised to see the Reds do that and to have that kind of money, right, for that 1 year. If that was what it was, he called their bluff, and now he will be pocketing that $21 million, and they will be including Nick, and they are in their rotation, is what it sounds like for this upcoming year. Now, that is always a gray area because even though he starts in the rotation, he tends to drift off into the bullpen at some point throughout the season.
In Mays, in the bullpen, there was a need.
Right, but for $21 million, hey. Go on, Nick, and he'll try to put together a very good season and then hit free agency again at the end of next year and then go ahead and try to get a multi-year deal or another one-year deal. Who knows?
Meanwhile, speaking of Cincinnati, one of the things that I saw over the weekend was the idea of a Jonathan India Brady Singer trade between the Royals and the Reds because Kansas City is looking for a leadoff hitter. And we mentioned that portion, Kansas City's desire for a leadoff hitter, a week or two ago in our basically every other day Jurickson Profar conversation, which I'm sure we will get into tomorrow once again, saying that Profar makes a lot of sense for the Royals and would be a really good fit because they don't have a left fielder. Well, they also don't really have a second baseman in Kansas City. I would personally, as someone who is still at least keeping one candle lit that Profar might be able to come back to San Diego, I'd be pretty happy if the Royals make this trade because adding India to the top of their lineup maybe reduces their desire to go get a Profar type. But nonetheless, the other part I thought was fascinating about this trade write-up through The Athletic was that if they did make this trade, they might send Martinez to the bullpen. And I was like, you're going to pay $21 million for Nick Martinez to pitch setup relief? That's a bad use of resources.
Yeah, that's what's surprising about what the Reds are doing. It's surprising about using him in that way. But I get this trade, but yeah, it's a lot of moving pieces then that you've got to figure out.
Yeah, interesting to think about, but just keeping in mind that the pieces are starting to at least be discussed in terms of their moves around the board for Major League Baseball. And one thing affects everybody else as well. So something to consider, the Reds-Royals trade rumor. From there to the Hall of Fame ballot that just got announced for the 2025 class. And within it, the number one guy you're going to be talking about is the guy who should be the second unanimous player, and that's Ichiro.
Yeah.
There's just, how could you possibly vote against Ichiro making the Hall of Fame?
I'm with you on that, and I think that you don't. I think he unanimously gets into it. I agree. He's on the ballot, and if you're a voter in this ballot, I feel like there's always something that they find. There's some ridiculous reason why you shouldn't be a first ballot or why you should make it or whatever for whichever player is up. But no, if you're voting on this, Ichiro should be a no-brainer.
Ichiro should 100% be a no-brainer. How about he played 19 years in Major League Baseball. Before that, he played, 7 years in Japanese League? 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
9 years. 9 years. He played 27 years of Major League, whether it's Japanese or U.S. Major League Baseball.
Incredible. And first position player from Japan, won the American League MVP and Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year same season. I remember Bob Melvin talking about him for a story I was doing on Fernando Tatis Jr. and saying that he was the comp to Fernando in understanding what his role was among fans. And Ichiro never wanted a day off. And finally, Bob Melvin was like, you have to have a day off. We're forcing you to have a day off. And there were kids that were waiting to see him that had come to the ballpark just to see him. They were playing somewhere else. And he saw that and he went inside and he got completely suited out, dressed the whole 9 yards. And Bob Melvin had told him, no, we don't want that. We want you to take this day off fully. But he knew the kids were there to see see him, and he went out there and he did a whole thing with the kids and just gave them that moment to feel special. I mean, he is a one of one. He's one of a kind, and especially bursting on the scene when he did and transforming what was that transition from Japan to the States and being able to play as long as he did and have as much success. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
He played modern Major League Baseball, started as a 27-year-old, and finished with over 3,000 hits.
10 straight Gold Glove awards for fielding, 3 Silver Sluggers for batting, 10 All-Star Game selections, 9 starts.
And yeah, this I think actually is almost, I don't know, maybe it's just because I haven't computed it myself, but I feel like this is underreported. 3,089 hits in Major League Baseball. He had 1,278 hits in Japanese League Baseball. Add it up. 4,367 hits. How many did Pete Rose get? 4,256. Yeah. One of the most famous numbers in sports. The real hit king is Ichiro. He's got the most hits of anyone ever. Throw in the Japanese League stats. Absolutely, I will. He's got the most hits of anybody ever. That's Ichiro. He should be, and may not be, but should be, a unanimous Hall of Famer. There's only a couple that come along. I thought Jeter got too many votes. Honestly, I mean, at least his defense could have knocked him down a little bit. But nonetheless, he should be a unanimous. The rest of the ballot, I think you're going to see a lot of focus on Billy Wagner, who's on his 10th and final year.
Wow, yep.
And has been trending upward. I think he's going to have a great shot of making it this year. I think he will make it this year. Chase Utley has been going up a little bit. First year for CC Sabathia. I think Sabathia has a good chance of making it to the Hall of Fame.
I agree, yeah.
I don't know if it's first ballot or not, but I think he's got a really good chance of making it. And I heard the boys, as we were driving in, talk about Felix Hernandez. I would vote for Felix Hernandez for the Hall of Fame. I think he's one of the great pitchers of the 21st century. And honestly, he's also one of the guys who, when he won the Cy Young in the American League with a 14-14 record, he was kind of one of the signs of the times that baseball is evolving and not just looking at win-loss, win-loss and ERA, and that's it for Cy Young. They were looking at the whole entirety of a pitcher's performance because Hernandez was dominant for a bad team with a 500 record.
Entire 15-season career with the Mariners, 6-time All-Star. You named, I mean, the stats are crazy. Led the AL in fewest hits per 9 innings, pitched 3 times, earned run average twice, shutouts twice. It goes on and on. But yeah, I mean, to me, he should at least get major consideration.
Yeah, and then you look elsewhere on the ballot, and you've got, for example, Alex Rodriguez, one of the greatest players of all time, and he's not going to make the Hall of Fame because he is not only a steroid abuser multiple time, but a multiple time liar, multiple time cheat. And yet, once again, I'm forced to, kind of like reconcile in my head, Annie, the disconnect that the greatest pitcher I've ever seen, Roger Clemens, the greatest hitter I've ever seen, Barry Bonds, the greatest shortstop in the history of the game, Alex Rodriguez, statistically at least. Not only are none of these players in the Hall of Fame, they're all never going to be in the Hall of Fame.
It's hard to imagine he won't be. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's just hard to imagine that he won't make the Hall of Fame.
Barry Bonds didn't.
Roger Clemens didn't. I know. It just,
and
I don't think
A-Rod.
He will, but it is weird to think about some of these greats that you obviously can make a case for why they belong in there, and then you can make the case against it like you just did.
I would have and would still open up the steroid wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame and look at a particular era. And if you don't want to be in that era, I'm sorry. I mean, Greg Maddux never got pinched for steroids. Pedro never got pinched for steroids. They were pitching against these roided up dudes. But like everyone, not everyone, but enough of the league was using that. And right, with certain people like David Ortiz being in already, Piazza too, right? At some point, the wall comes crumbling down. Honestly, it's hypocritical to have Mike Piazza in the Hall of Fame and Barry Bonds out.
And you see so much with A-Rod. You see him he was just on the broadcast, right? I mean, he's all over the place. I saw a headline about the Hall of Fame chances where it was like the next MLB immortal who won't be immortalized, and that's how you feel about it. I mean, they're just so significant in the game of baseball, but I don't see baseball getting over those pockmarks.
Yeah.
It's
Manny Ramirez.
Not the way it goes.
Manny Ramirez, Carlos Beltran. Those are two other guys. I would say, like, if I was just filling out a straight Hall of Fame ballot and not including any context, there's no doubt that those guys are on my ballot. Like, I'm voting Beltran. I'm voting Ramirez. I'm voting A-Rod. Pettit. Guaranteed those guys are in the Hall of Fame. Then none of them get in. And you wind up looking back at the history of baseball and seeing just these weird
That's what I'm saying.
pockets, this erasure almost.
You go to Cooperstown and you walk through, and to not see these names feels wrong. It just does. Just the same way it is wrong to use the steroids, and I understand that whole argument, and I don't know the answer to this, but it does feel wrong to walk through those halls and not see some of the people who were most instrumental in the game of baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish that it sounds so stupid, but they have like maybe they do need like an asterisk wing.
A steroid wing in the Hall of Fame.
You don't need to call it the steroid wing, but, call it I don't know what you call it, but some asterisk over there, and you allow it to be its own thing. I don't know. It feels like you are a little bit erasing some of the greats. I
mean, honestly, hey, Craig, who are the greatest sluggers you ever saw in your life? Well, I saw Barry Bonds. Saw Mark McGwire, A-Rod, Sammy Sosa, Jim Tomei. I'm just off the top of my head.
I see, like, without the steroids, they wouldn't have been as good as they are. Not necessarily, like, I saw that comment in the chat, because they didn't use necessarily their entire career. I mean, it was certain years that were caught, and
sure,
they were good before. I mean, look at Barry Bonds. It was not like his entire career is defined by that.
Barry Bonds, pre-1993, was on a Hall of Fame track.
Right.
Playing for Pittsburgh, skinny as a rail. And then he got to San Francisco and he kept it up. I mean, 1993, he wasn't on the juice. And he was an MVP player.
And still was right on that track.
Yeah. And then it was after he saw what happened in 1998 and that there was no repercussion, that he was like, they're doing it, I'm doing it. And then he went and set every record in the universe for 4 straight years. I mean, he played the game at a level that will never be seen again.
And what's difficult is what you mentioned, the era, when just the same as certain things that would be allowed then in other parts of baseball, okay, like in with women or with certain ways that you celebrated after games or whatnot, they would be frowned upon today.
Right.
At that time, steroids was part of the baseball culture. It still is, to be honest. I mean, there's still going to be in everywhere, in the NFL and MLB and every sport everywhere, there's going to be players trying to find an edge somewhere, somehow. But at that point, it wasn't as black and white, I don't think, as it is today. I mean, it was coming into that age, right, where they had to define exactly what that was.
Yeah, it's just such a murky, muddy middle, and it does leave me a little bit distasteful. And it is true, and somebody in the chat did mention it, but like we're talking about the plaque section of the Hall of Fame. You can go places
right in the chat. Yeah,
you can go places and see things of Barry Bonds' homers and Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa's home run chase and such things within the museum, but they're never enshrined.
Right.
They're never getting the ceremony. That's where the true Hall of Famers are. You can have your
Pete Rose is in there, but he doesn't have it enshrined.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, his cap might be in the Hall of Fame, or the gloves from his record-hitting night might be at the Hall of Fame, but his plaque will never be in the Hall of Fame.
Wouldn't it be kind of funny if they did have like an enhanced section, like a corner that was like some shadows,
right?
And everything's a little bigger. It's okay. Anyways,
hi Barry, congrats! Hi Barry, it's the Hall of Fame. Good news, you've been elected to the steroid wing of the Hall of Fame.
No, Annie said enhanced, where everything was bigger. That's what she said.
Well, also So another
section.
comment in the chat says, Annie mentioned the voters keeping the greats out. No, the greats kept themselves out by cheating. I do understand that. I understand that there are rules. You break the rules, you have to accept the consequences. I think, though, that there is some gray area to this that has to be reconciled somehow. And maybe that's their way of reconciling it, is just we'll put in stats and pictures and whatnot, but you're not getting a plaque. I think there should be the enhanced section.
The enhanced wing. No, you and I are in complete agreement. Now, would they show up to their ceremonies
I don't
to
know.
be inducted? Maybe not. Maybe not. I think some of them would.
Like, and look, there's another in the chat. Fire he too. I'm not sure. Okay. History should be truthful.
Welcome.
The steroid era players should be celebrated while also telling the truth about that era. Let them in, add your asterisks, but tell the truth. I see that point as well. Like, that should be history, right? Like, you get to understand what the story is of that player.
And of course, history exists, and those players' histories do exist, and everyone can learn about them without going. I mean, I've never been to Cooperstown.
I wish I've never been to
So
Cooperstown either.
like in terms of what's literally inside a museum, why should I care? Right? The history of baseball is what it is. Learning about the players matters, and learning, as I agree, fire he too, that just telling the truth about the era. I just really like the truth. I like people sticking to the objective truth. That was the whole thing I had last hour about the Paul Tyson fight, was that it was an abomination, and then people want to act like it was good. It's like, no, I mean, everyone could see it. There were 70,000 people were there watching, booing, but point being, I'm digressing. Again, I like the objective truth of, yes, this man cheated. He also hit 756 home runs.
I don't agree with the fact that everything has to be so picture perfect and vanilla, and people are complicated. Now I understand the argument of, well, then how can you have a great section, a Hall of Fame? You might as well let everyone in then. But there are complications that happen with people that I think are just part of their story. It makes them interesting. It doesn't make them any less of a person necessarily. Obviously, there are exceptions. You know what I mean? But
yes.
In terms of just oversaturating something to be so perfect, like, let me tell you, the people who are already in the Hall of Fame, none of them are perfect. They all have mistakes that they made. They didn't use drugs, or they weren't caught using steroids, but they have their own mistakes or their own trials and tribulations. And so, to me, I think that they're. It makes it more interesting to be able to learn people's stories and have some of those things inside of an institution that you can, guess what, learn about and understand. Hey, this wasn't as Pollyanna as baseball would like to make it sound, but that's okay. It's interesting. It's part of the sport. It's part of the truth of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Good conversation. I enjoyed it. All right. And once again, this is not a Clock Integrity Monday. We are going to take a break. When we come back, Braden's football segment. Let's get some overreactions from some very good games in the weekend that was in the National Football League. That's up next on Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. So while you're listening, you can see what you missed and click to listen on demand. If you missed a guest, feature, maybe our Hall of Fame discussion that happened last segment, we've got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app, search 97.3 The Fan, tap earlier today, and get started. It's 11:28 on The Fan. It is Annie and Elsten, and a Monday tradition like no other, Braden's football segment. Let's get into the NFL.
Let's get into the NFL with some overreactions, although I think I might know the answer to this first one for both of you guys. It involves our beloved Lions.
Who won 52 to 6.
Yeah, it's a 6. Is it 6, 9?
I don't know. Something like that.
Worst loss in Jaguars franchise history.
Which is hard to do.
It is. Level of domination the Lions are inflicting right now is hard to put into perspective. Sure, it was the dead-in-the-water Jags they did it to again on Sunday, but that doesn't mean it wasn't impressive. Lions set franchise records for margin of victory, plus 46, total yards, 645, and total first downs, 38. Detroit also scored touchdowns on each of its first 7 possessions Sunday. Lions are only the third team in the past 45 years to do that, according to Elias Sports Bureau. The other two are the 2009 Patriots and the 2007 Patriots, a team you might remember won every game it played that season until the Super Bowl. Lions aren't going undefeated because they already lost to the Bucs way back in week 2, but the way things are going, they could match the 2007 Patriots record for wins in a regular season. They still have home games left against the Packers, Bills, and Vikings, and a road game in San Francisco, along with 2 games against the Bears, and next week's trip to Indianapolis. So it's not the easiest looking schedule we've ever seen, but considering Detroit is beating teams by 2 touchdowns per game, does the schedule really matter that much? And my question to you, buy or sell, the Detroit Lions are going to win the Super Bowl.
I buy it.
Roar, Lions, roar.
They did have another bad injury.
March along to victory.
The linebacker.
Yeah,
I don't think it's an overreaction.
I don't think it's overreaction.
I think they're the current
I'll
favorite.
buy it. Yeah.
I will absolutely say they're the current favorite. But if you're telling me that
I gotta make a
3
pick.
months from now they're definitely going to win the Super Bowl, I'm going to say no. I think that either the Chiefs or the Bills could absolutely beat them. Never mind a couple other teams that they have to get through along the way.
In terms of overreactions, I would say that would not be an overreaction. But I'm not making a Super Bowl pick right now. It's too far in advance. Let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. After their Week 8 loss in Houston in a game in which their second-year quarterback famously asked out for a play because he was tired, Colts took the starting quarterback job away from the number 4 pick in the 2023 draft and handed it to veteran Joe Flacco. The idea was to give Richardson some time to get his head right and ideally give themselves a better chance to win games in the meantime. Well, they didn't. Flacco turned the ball over 6 times in the game against Minnesota and Buffalo, and the Colts lost both of those games and fall to 4-6. So early last week, they announced they were going back to Richardson for Week 11 against the Jets. You can be forgiven if you have whiplash. Colts fans do too. But then Richardson went 20 for 30, 272, and a touchdown pass Sunday while running for 2 more touchdowns. He was also 9 for 11 on passes, thrown more than 10 yards downfield per ESPN research. And the Colts beat the Jets 28-27 to hang on the fringe of the AFC playoff race. Buy or sell, would it be an overreaction that the Colts should have never benched Anthony Richardson?
The way that it's phrased, I don't think it's an overreaction. They should have benched him. He even said, like he said, it kind of let him get his head straight. Now, whether he's saying that and he believes it or not, he did say.
Annie is saying this is an overreaction. Colts should have never benched Anthony Richardson.
No, they should have benched him.
Exactly. So you're saying it's an overreaction.
Right.
Sure.
Because the comment is they never should have.
The comment is they never should have.
Yeah,
Annie
they
disagrees.
should have.
They should have. I agree too. I think it's an overreaction.
It kind of let him relax a little bit, which apparently he needs to do
or
every so often.
Lit a fire under his
inside
ass.
the game.
And then you got the best of him in the game against the Jets. Now, it was against the Jets, who are awful.
Here's what I'll say.
But
I think
they had to do something.
I think that the dunking that Anthony Richards suffered after that one comment was an overreaction by just the NFL universe, the sports universe. However, benching him for a couple of games is fine. Progress is not always linear.
It's like sending a pitcher down in the minors.
Yeah. I would have preferred if they just were honest about it. Hey, we're going to have him sit a little bit and figure some things out here.
Yeah.
But they weren't. They were like, well, but they didn't even say that
Joe
it was about the
Flacco
benching.
gives us the best chance to win. I hate that answer.
Right.
Wow.
When
It's not
in
the
reality,
answer.
now we find out that it was all about that.
Yeah,
being-
exactly. Pulling yourself from the game for being too
Right.
tired as a quarterback is probably not going to end well
Right.
for your NFL organization. Let's talk about LO's Dolphins. After falling to 2-6 with a Week 9
like a
loss
horse.
to the
Yeah,
Bills.
it wasn't good.
Wait.
They've got a sound effect over there.
I think they do. They got right here.
There it is.
That's perfect.
After falling to 2-6 with a Week 9 loss
They
to
call
the
him
Bills.
Flipper.
You all right?
Yeah, that was a show when I was a kid. There was an actual show, live action show, not animated, called Flipper, where the star was the dolphin, and they would like solve crimes, and the dolphin would help. And at the end, he would pop up his little head and he'd go, and everyone would laugh.
All right, so the 2-6
Crime-solving
Dolphins have won
dolphin.
2 games in a row. Last Monday against the Rams and Sunday against the Raiders. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is back from his 4-game stint on the injured reserve due to a concussion. And while the offense might not look all the way like itself, it was more than good enough to beat Las Vegas. Take that for what it's worth. Dolphins are now 4-6. Division is obviously a runaway with Buffalo lapping the field, but the AFC wildcard race remains shockingly accessible. At the time Miami's game ended Sunday, the final wildcard spot in the conference belonged to the 5-5 Broncos, which means the Dolphins are only 1 game out of the playoffs. Buy or sell, the Dolphins can still make the playoffs. I will buy that.
I sell it.
100% buy.
They could totally still, they mathematically can't, or a game out, they could totally do it.
Until Tua's next concussion, they're a good team.
They are competing with the Broncos, the Colts, and the Bengals.
They are okay.
I mean,
okay, you're right. They can
They
make the
outlast
playoffs.
those teams.
Yeah.
And
They're
and
looking
They
for
need
the
a lot of
7th
help, but they
spot.
can make the playoffs.
I
It's
just
teams
watched-
that you can get a lot of help from.
I just watched far too much of the Cincinnati Bengals last night. They'll figure out a way to screw it up, no matter what.
They almost came back and won that game.
It was.
They needed to win the game.
Absolutely
I know
did, but it was
they
the
did.
game of like who. It wasn't who won the game. It was who lost the game.
Yeah, who wants it less?
Who wanted to? Yeah, exactly. Who wanted to lose more?
Right.
than
And the answer was
won
the Bengals
contest?
kicker wanted to lose the
I
very
still
most.
don't know what I learned last night.
I learned the Bengals kicker stinks, and that Cincinnati is that
Right.
team. They've got that Clippers-esque feel to them that, like, no matter what, they're good enough to beat every team they play, but not at the end.
It was so typical
Not
Chargers
at the
too, where
end.
they're up by that much in the first half,
Yeah.
and then the other team closes the gap in the second half. But normally the Chargers lose that game. I am not buying into a whole lot that they won that game because of.
Well, the Bengals
The
are the
Bengals
Chargers of the
bangling.
Eastern Seaboard.
But congrats to you,
Historically.
fans, exactly, who are very happy about it. So they did get the win.
And believe in that team up there.
Yeah.
It's gonna come crashing down. I feel bad for you guys. You don't see the cliff at the end of this of the drive that you're driving full speed at. Broncos time. Bo Nix was pretty good on Sunday.
That's better.
Looked good on fantasy, at least.
Bo Nix.
38-6 victory of the Falcons through 4 touchdown passes. Was
Jeez,
28 of
Falcons.
33
What
for
happened?
307. Completed passes to 9 different receivers. Denver had 400 yards of total offense and no turnovers too. Broncos scored touchdowns on 3 of their 4 first-half possessions and their first possession of the second half. Eye-opening performance by a team that had its heart ripped out a week earlier when the Chiefs blocked its game-winning field goal attempt in the final
true. They could
seconds.
have won
They could have beat
back-to-back.
Kansas City back-to-back. I mean, the Broncos could have been like a game behind KC for a top spot in the division right now.
Could have
Right.
gotten the first win over the Bills instead
Could
of
have
the
been a
Bills getting
contender.
the win over the Chiefs. Right.
Knicks had 9 touchdown passes, 1 rushing touchdown, and just 1 interception in his past 4 games. He has thrown 2 picks since week 2 and since
Wow.
the start of October. Leads all rookies with 1,615 passing yards and 13 passing touchdowns. Broncos are 6-5 and currently occupy one of the AFC wildcard spots behind his play. Buy or sell, Bo Nix will win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm going to say Jaden Daniels comes back and gets it. I know he's.
I think so, too.
I know
Yeah.
he's struggled a little bit the last couple games. I think Daniels will, at the end, have the body of work, and I think Knicks will finish second.
Depends how the second half goes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Nick started very shaky, and he's improved a ton. But I'm still not counting out Daniels either.
All right, this week's underreaction. Stafford and the Rams flew across country to play an early window Sunday game the week after playing on Monday night. They rolled over a Patriots defense that people keep insisting is better than we think. Stafford was 18 for 27, 297 yards and 4 touchdown passes. His second game this season with 4 touchdown passes. He was also 7 for 11 for 177 and 3 touchdowns on passes of at least 10 air yards. According to Dan Graziano, senior NFL writer of ESPN, he says the underreaction of the week that people need to be paying more attention to, Matt Stafford is playing really well in his 16th season. Buy or sell?
I'm going to buy it.
I buy the underreaction.
And I think they've got a pretty decent chance to win the division because the Niners keep screwing around.
It's tight. It's super tight. I mean, Seahawks won last night, right? Against the Niners, and the Cardinals have been hanging around. I mean, if you look at the current standings of the NFC West, 6-4 currently leads it with the Cardinals, who have won 4 straight games, and they have a half-game lead on the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners that are all 5-5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the Rams making the playoffs, and they could win the division when they've got their 2 top receivers out there, when they're healthy. It's still a pretty decent team. And, Stafford's really good. He's going to be a Hall of Famer one day.
Not one team in the NFC West is below 500.
It's wild. And only one is above.
That's right. That's the NFC North. You're like, hey, they got one team below 500. Everybody else is way, way above.
And even then, the Bears are kind of a hard luck wackadoodle team.
Yes.
They could have won.
Very inconsistent.
They could have won this game, too. They played well.
Yeah,
All right, good stuff. Braden's football segment, some reactions and overreactions from the weekend that was. When we come back, another set of roundup. This, our local college football and basketball discussion. Aztecs. I gotta share with you guys after the break something I saw from the Aztecs UNLV game that hopefully will stun you. I think I'm going to try and find the graphic for it and bring it to you when we come back. Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, football fans, listen up. Do you need that extra edge for game day? Then you need to cash the ticket. New episodes every Thursday and Friday with Mike Valenti and Jim Costa. I turned on my computer sound so I could hear the Flipper theme song.
Oh,
during the break.
you did play the Flipper theme song in the break, which Braden and I didn't really know how to handle that.
Well, and at the same time, when you said you put the link in the rundown, I was like, I ain't playing the Flipper song.
Come on.
It
I was,
sounded
no.
very old-timey.
Very old-timey.
It's
like something from a Disney
Fantasyland
ride.
One of the Fantasyland rides that they haven't updated.
Precisely. Anyways, Cash the Ticket's a really good podcast, and you should listen to it. And that's the read.
And Flipper.
And Flipper. Flipper's a great show. Full episodes available on YouTube. I discovered in the last few minutes. If you're watching on YouTube, what we just put up is a literal receipt from Saturday's UNLV San Diego State game. And some guy named Bill on Twitter.
With a fake check mark.
Yeah. Wrote, friend of mine had a VIP box for yesterday's UNLV game, ordered a pizza and wings, never realized what it was going to cost for this slop, $653. They treat the luxury suite guests like they're in a club with bottle service. I would say it's a complete joke, but then they print and show you the receipt. One pepperoni pizza that they have a picture of.
That looks like this.
Yeah. That's a $300 pizza at the UNLV game.
What?
$300.
These chicken strips are $190.
Do they justify it because they say they're going to keep refilling it?
No, that's a one-time purchase.
That's one.
How
that's
can a
it.
pizza cost $300 at a game? What?
And it's just a crappy pizza. It's not like
right. We're not talking about a gourmet pizza with truffles from France or something.
Like Gordon Ramsay is in your suite making the pizza for you.
Pizza $300. The tenders $190. Subtotal $490.
Now get into the real.
The administrative charge.
Administrative charge. It says right on the receipt. Please note that all food and beverage items are subject to a 23% administrative charge plus applicable sales tax. This administrative charge is not a tip or gratuity. Additional payment for tips is voluntary. So UNLV is like, cool. So you've paid $300 for the pizza. You've paid $190 for the chicken wings. But how about $112.70 just to us? Just administrative charge for existing. Just for existing.
That's like your service charge or whatever.
Basically to help UNLV pay for renting out the stadium that the Raiders built.
Yeah, and to help pay for their damn quarterback.
$653 for one pizza and a thing of chicken tenders.
This is the continuing encrapification of the sports world, where, what is the point? College football is broken. It is a broken system. It's broken.
Crazy.
This is I would like to submit to the court, evidence A, this receipt, okay, for UNLV to try, and they're doing a pretty good job, right?
Did it come with bottle service?
No.
No.
It came with a football. It came with a lousy football game.
Like some kind of
How about the guy in the
club show?
Guy in the comments goes, makes my $44 margarita look like a real bargain. And he takes a
it really
picture
does.
of his $44 margarita that he got at the Golden Knights game.
Yeah.
Now, I could
Las
see
Vegas.
that. I guess I could see if it was, the chicken tenders cost you $42 or whatever, but $150?
Yeah.
Or the pizza cost you $50. That's still stupid.
Right.
But
Plus, you got a tip on top of the administrative charge.
Right.
That's part of the deal. So you're
the
tipping.
tip's supposed to come off the $653.
Yes, not the $490 of the pizza and the chicken.
Yeah, so you should be tipping another $120 on top of that.
even if you're wealthy, you should have a problem with this. This is not good business. I guess
not
it's
good
good
for
business for the
anybody.
stadium, but
It's not good business for
it's
anyone.
not. And before we just start, it's not just UNLV. I was in a suite at Snapdragon. The prices are relatively similar for just things like, they had, I'm pretty sure, I got to check, I don't know the exact price, but I remember the price being outrageous for their, game day platter that they said it was. And it was a bunch of, I don't know for a fact. I don't know what the details are about it. They could be making them themselves. But what we got in that game day platter was a lot of stuff that you find at the frozen Costco section.
Yes.
And it was I swear to you, it was like $300 for the deal. It's got to it has to be even higher. I'm sure they don't post the prices on their website, But the one time I was in that suite, I'm sitting there going like, and I mean, people had to pay a lot of money to like have that suite for like a 15-year or 10-year period, just to have the right to have the seats. It was like their PSL license, right? And so then you had to buy the tickets to the game. And then on top of that, the food. It's just like, where's all the money? What's all this money for? And why are people paying this to go to games? This is why average people can't go to games anymore.
I can't see a $300 pizza. I don't. If that was put in front of me, I'm still like shocked by it.
Yeah,
that's how much
and they were
it
like,
costs.
"Here, this is $300. It looks like a literal pizza that you got from
Costco.
From Costco, not even as robust as Costco's.
Yeah,
my
Costco's
buddies
is
and
better.
but that's just. I mean, Vegas is like that in general. But my buddies and I did the.
Not $300 though.
No, I mean, my buddies and I did the Circus Swim thing last year, and like for a plate of chicken, you had to spend at least $300, and the chicken and like fries platter that they gave you, which was like so thrown together, was $350 minimum. And then you got and they only serve stuff in like Costco quantities. I mean, it was like $300 for a 30 rack of Michelob Ultras. I mean, the bill was like over $1,000 just to show up to like the pool, but that's what it costs in Vegas, and people go ham in Vegas for no reason.
It kind of blows my mind. And it's one thing when it's Circa. It's one thing when you're at,
right.
You're poolside and it's like, or you're at some really fancy
I agree.
woo-woo place. Or,
right.
Yeah.
But if those are the prices for Circa, that should never be the price for UNLV
never
football.
Ever, ever, ever. Because what you look at outside the suite is a Mountain West Conference football game. That's what they're playing there.
I know.
You're not looking outside to see Celine Dion.
It's also not like a champ. Not that it makes it any better, but it's not like it was a championship game or this.
This isn't U2's residency. It's some kid. And guess what?
You're not at the Sphere.
When he gets a first down, you know what they're putting up on the screen? NIL links.
This is
by the way, if you're enjoying this, pay more.
This is like when they have you and they're like, well, you're stuck here. So we're going to just jack up our prices because we know you want to eat and you're stuck here and you can't go anywhere else. Oh, I would walk out and I'd go to like one of the vendors down there.
Well, you know why.
I mean,
think about it from this perspective. We know the Padres families, when they go to the suites, bring their own food in.
Yeah.
I mean, these are individuals that are making insane amount of money, that could obviously cover it for their families. They don't even want to do it.
Listen, you're talking about Las Vegas, Nevada. If you want to spend $653 in Las Vegas, Nevada, I guarantee you can find a better, more efficient way of spending $653 for your entertainment than buying a pizza and wings at the UNLV San Diego State game.
You got some kind of accent there when you were saying that.
I'm
not sure what it was.
I don't know what it is either. It's the guy that it's
the disgruntled.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of ways you could spend that money in Las Vegas and be far more satisfied than you were with those pizza, with the wings.
I had no idea that it was to that extent. I knew it was obviously high. And I mean, the same as you go to hotels now, and I was just looking, I was at one of my favorite little spots over the weekend, and it's double what it was a few years ago for anything. But that is insane. $653 for 10 chicken fingers and a 10, not even like an 8-slice pizza. That's crazy.
This is why I don't go to a lot of games anymore unless I have a credential. It's just I'd rather watch it at home.
This is why college football is broken.
Well, then you think about parking. You think about parking being $75 or $50. You talk about just all the expenses.
Because look, because I watched Tennessee, Georgia this weekend. I saw that atmosphere down in Athens.
I'm gonna tell you right now, being there 2 years ago, their beer ain't that expensive out there.
I guarantee you it's not. And I'm not saying, they do it all better in the Deep South. But my point is, like, if that atmosphere is worth something, UNLV's atmosphere
100%.
against San Diego State is worth nothing. It's worth literally nothing. And you're going to charge me these prices for that and then expect the NIL donation and then expect the administration fee. Most of these schools need to just quit.
It's just a weird spot, too. I was thinking about it over the weekend. Just the fact that your rosters are turning over the way they are. It's so hard for coaches right now. And then you have $650 pizza?
Aztecs begging for NIL money in the paper again today. And then you spend the money, and then for what? the next year to go see what?
Yeah. If I'm spending the money on the player, I'm watching on TV.
Yeah.
I'm not spending that again.
The whole damn thing's broke. You know what's not broke? This show. We're going to do more next. Lunch hour has arrived on a Monday. Welcome back to your midday hang. It's Andy and Elsten here with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. And it is that time of the show where we bring you all the sports news. And on a Monday, it's from the weekend that was. It's your 12 o'clock sports fix. Let's roll into it with Annie.
All right, we have a lot to get to here in MLB. We'll start with ESPN's Jeff Passan, who said in a recent appearance on the Baseball Barbiecast, like barbecue, but barbecue. Okay.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, that the Red Sox are talking with Blake Snell. They're reportedly interested in the two-time Cy Young Award winner, and they've already said they want to upgrade their rotation. However, there are other contenders on the market, so we will see if they end up signing Snell or going in a different direction. Dodgers right-hander Brusdar Graterol will miss the first half of next season after having surgery to repair the labrum in his right shoulder. He is expected to return in the second half of the 2025 season. Veteran right-hander Nick Martinez, old friend, is accepting the qualifying offer from the Reds. He will remain with Cincinnati for the 2025 season on a one-year, $21 million deal. Right-hander Luis Severino is, quote, likely to decline the qualifying offer extended to him by the Mets earlier this month, according to The Athletic. Salmon adds that Severino, quote, loves playing in New York, but is looking to land a multi-year deal in free agency this winter. The Reds and Royals are discussing a trade that would send second baseman Jonathan India to Kansas City in exchange for right-hander Brady Singer, according to The Athletic. Ken Rosenthal adds that a deal between the sides is not considered close and that India is one of several hitters the Royals are looking at as they consider dealing from their rotation depth. Baltimore Orioles general manager Mike Elias announced Friday that the team would modify the dimensions at Oriole Park at Camden Yards for the 2025 season. They're moving the left field wall in as much as 20 feet in some locations and lowering the height to just below 7 feet in some spots. The Orioles moved the left field wall back as much as 26.5 feet in some spots and raised the wall from 7 to 13 feet between 21 and 2022, creating an environment that made pitchers very happy while frustrating hitters, especially those who bat right-handed. They don't bite, they bat. The changes in left field led some to dub that section of the park Mount Waltimore. Get it? Baltimore? Baltimore? Okay.
Here's the funny thing. The 2 years that they've had this, they've been great. They've won almost 200
playoffs,
games in the 2 years. And now they're bringing it back in. I thought it was a major advantage for their pitching staff.
Yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. In the ongoing saga of Tropicana Field, the Tampa Bay Times is reporting that while nothing is official, it appears likely that a historic deal to build a new $1.3 billion stadium at the Tropicana Field site is all but dead. And consequently, baseball's future in Tampa Bay is at greater risk than ever before. The county commission postponed one vote on bonds that would go toward financing the new ballpark and appears poised to delay it again tomorrow. This has already caused a number of deadlines and halted construction plans and would likely significantly increase the cost of the project, which the team would have to pay. So team owner Stuart Sternberg said the future of baseball in Tampa Bay became less certain after that vote. Dun, dun, dun. And finally, the Juice Box is no more. Minute Maid Park, the home of the Houston Astros for the last 2 decades, is set to undergo a significant change next year.
Really?
The Astros announced Monday that air conditioning company Daikin, is that how you say it? Daikin, has secured the naming rights to the ballpark. It will become Daikin Park in 2025 for the next 15 seasons. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It was Minute Maid Park since 2002. Daikin? Daikin? Pronounce it as you wish in your head.
Daikin.
Yes. And that is it. But how about that? Tropicana Field, the relocation of the Rays may be more likely on the table.
Yeah, I mean, the Nashville Rays. I could see it coming together.
See it coming too.
The Oakland Rays.
The Oakland Rays.
Funniest thing ever.
Or someone said to name it the Oakland Bays.
The Oakland
like
Bays.
Oakland Bay. Get it?
I mean.
Okay.
Or BAE.
BAE, the Oakland Bays.
Right. Bay.
They did have that encounter at the top of their stadium.
That's true.
Okay. Anyways, did you know what I'm talking about when someone caught 2 fans?
Yes, I do.
This has been a pause Monday.
Bay.
For
on to Baden. Braden. That's when they're shipping you in your bay.
That's right.
They say it's Baden. What's up?
All right, NFL news. New York Giants have benched Daniel Jones and named Tommy DeVito as their starting quarterback.
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy
Cutlets, hey.
Tommy Cutlets, cold cuts. Insert Italian deli food item here. Giants coach Brian Daboll announced Monday that the struggling Jones will be the New York's third-string quarterback going forward. Wow, not even a backup. Behind DeVito and Drew Lock, who will remain in the backup role, Jones' benching starts the process of last-place Giants moving on from the quarterback they signed to a 4-year, $160 million deal less than 2 years ago. He's 2-8 during that time. Daboll spoke with his, or 2-8 for the Giants this year. Daboll spoke with the quarterbacks Monday morning to inform them of his decision. Admittedly, it was not an easy conversation, especially telling Jones his season and Giants' career effectively are over.
Yeesh.
I got a lot of respect for Daniel. I've said that before. Daboll said those conversations remain private. Certainly, you're not going to be happy about being benched as a competitor, and I respect that. The real losers are us, because next Thursday we got Tommy DeVito taking on Cooper Rush on a Thanksgiving mainstay game of the Cowboys and Giants in the middle of the day.
Is this the net? No, the Christmas was in the Netflix ones, right?
Yes, this is like the main game, though.
Yeah. No, this is the big Thanksgiving game.
They always get the 1 o'clock kickoff or whatever like that. So your Thursday games next week are Giants and Cowboys will be the 1:30. Bears and Lions in the morning game. That will be good. And then for dessert, you got Dolphins at Packers. Who picked these games?
I don't know.
I mean, the night game's usually a good division game.
Usually a decent game.
Dolphins and Packers.
That might be okay.
Ella will be
as long
excited.
as Tua's still upright.
I'm just hoping it snows in Green Bay just to make it look fun. I mean, but
You can listen to all three. Huh?
you can listen to all 3 Thanksgiving NFL games on your home for terrible quarterback matchups. 97.3 The Fan.
Thank you, Adam Klug.
Those are some terrible quarterback matchups. The Bears-Lions game will be the best game, but it kicks off at 9:30. People are going to be sleeping in because they had day off from work. It's a big going out night on that Wednesday. Anyway.
Yes, everyone from college, remember, comes back in town.
That's right. Yeah, PB will not be dead
It'll be
like
hopping.
it was. Yeah, it'll be
Right.
popping for sure. Go down to Prince Street Pizza and Handles and go check out the bars at Mavericks and all the other places down there. Speaking of the Bears, head coach Matt Eberflus defended his decision to not run one final play at the end of Chicago's Week 11 loss to the Packers to get kicker Cairo Santos close to the south end zone at Soldier Field. With Chicago trailing by 1 point, Santos attempted a 46-yard field goal, which was blocked as time expired by Packers defensive tackle Carl Brooks. Chicago's 2019 defeat on Sunday marked 11 straight losses to Green Bay, a streak that dates back to the 2018 season. Felt good in terms of where the kick line was, Eberflus said. The win was not a factor today, and Cairo made a bunch of those kicks inside of that range. We feel confident in Cairo and confident in our operation there. Ball is kicked. I do have to say, you're not allowed to hit the long snapper. Long snapper got absolutely crushed on that play to lead to the block. I don't know how that was allowed, but I guess if they didn't burn the clock and they got a little closer, the trajectory of the kick could have been a little bit off. I mean, but you got to be able to block. It's 2 blocked potential game-winning field goals in the NFL back-to-back weeks.
Might want to work
pretty
on
insane. You know what? It's desire.
They need to want it more. The blocking.
I mean, honestly, in field goal kicks and stuff like that, it's desire blocks kicks. Had 2 blocked kicks on Friday in our game.
Look at you.
We had
you
one.
guys wanted it.
Yeah.
We held one, and LCC had one. Guys, go hard in the playoffs. Get after it. I'll get after it again after Craig.
Here we go. Start with the local teams. We do have some breaking news this morning. San Diego Wave FC on social media thanked interim head coach Landon Donovan for his contributions to the club and announced the ending of his tenure.
His era is over.
The Donovan era is ended.
But his aura is high.
His
Aura
is
high, era low.
That's right.
Donovan
What a year
out.
for the Wave. I mean,
What a year.
I would have thought they would have stuck with him.
Well,
But, I mean, look, what a year. You interim head coach, no Casey Stoney, then Landon Donovan, Alex
and
Morgan
they never
retires.
really went anywhere.
Right.
They didn't advance in the CONCACAF.
Had the
They finished
Olympics
10th.
in the middle of it.
Right. It was a nasty, messy, forgettable season for the Wave, and they'll have a new head coach. The club says that they are in the final stages of searching for a new permanent head coach and should have that announcement in the coming weeks. So probably before Christmas, we'll have a new Wave head coach. Hopefully sooner than later. Hopefully we'll get him or her on the show or them, and we'll find out more. But Landon's time at Wave is done. The San Diego Clippers improved to 3-1 on the season. 129-122 win over the Valley Suns Sunday evening at Front Wave Arena. The opening homestand for the San Diego Clippers continues with the South Bay Lakers coming in on Wednesday night. But before you get too excited, Bronny James is not playing road games for South Bay.
I saw that.
He only plays home games, and then when the Lakers go on the road, the South Bay Lakers, he goes back to Dad's club, the LA Lakers.
What if they're on the road too?
Then he goes
hangs
with them
out
on
at
the
his
road.
house?
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, he's going to travel with the... I thought he was just going to work out at the Lakers facilities. He's
maybe
going
he
to travel with the... I was going to say.
Maybe he
And
will.
you
I don't
can't
know.
Go down 2 hours to San Diego or not even.
Think about all the
Oceanside,
ticket sales
so-
being missed on Wednesday that they would have had if Bronny James was there.
I also just think it would be a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, it seems really preferential treatment to me. And
I mean, I can kind of understand from
Kinda
the
lame.
perspective of like flying trips, but like the bus trips
Right,
don't make
bus
any
trips
sense.
don't-
You know,
exactly.
you got to bring a security detail. People are nuts. Got to deal with these people on plane. They don't fly charter.
Right, they
So
fly
it's like,
coach,
and
yeah.
you got Bronny James walking around.
Okay, that makes a little
that could
more
be
sense to
a
me.
major,
Yes.
major problem. But I still agree. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. They don't do this for any other G League player.
Right.
Even
And
though this guy
also,
seems
yeah.
to be
Take the bus
popular.
down or get a driver or
yeah,
something.
but like the ones in California, I don't know why he's not
Sure.
traveling for unless they think it's going to be a problem on the road.
He's a 19-year-old kid. I think he could handle it.
He played in college.
I know, at SC.
He planted himself there.
When he was
right?
at USC, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like they
were
had
turning up in
issues.
terminals and airports
Right.
as
Yeah,
They
well.
didn't have
that's true.
issues because they also don't fly charter, except for maybe a couple times.
I mean, yes, somebody could run into Bronny James at the complimentary breakfast at the Holiday Inn Express.
Is he more
where
popular?
the Lakers are playing.
Is he more popular now that he's a Laker? Less popular? The same level of popularity, just being LeBron's kid? As I don't think it's like increased. Has his popularity increased
Yeah,
enough?
it's increased.
Enough where like we don't want to put him on a plane.
That
we don't
not-
want to fly
no.
commercial.
No. And if I was his dad, well, then I'd have so much money I wouldn't care.
Yeah, you wouldn't be here.
Never mind.
That's true. His team with Sierra Canyon probably had more.
Couldn't even finish this thought before I got to the...
You might do a podcast.
Never mind.
but-
Saturday night, the San Diego Gulls played an absolutely insane game against the Bakersfield Condors. You probably didn't hear about this. The Gulls, at home, served up 5 goals in the first period. They were down 5-2. They had to change out their goalkeeper. Then they gave up 2 more. They were down 7-2. Then they came all the way back and scored 5 unanswered goals, including 4 in the third period, forged a 7-7 tie. After a scoreless 5-minute overtime, they went to the shootout, the little skills competition. The Condors won that. So 8-7 Bakersfield, the final. You're down 7-2? First of all, 15 goals in a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of this.
It's a lot of that. It's a lot. 5 in a period is way too much. Like, whoa. And then to actually come back from 7-2 down. At least they gave the home crowd,
A thrill.
gave them something to watch. Which, thank goodness. The Gulls will continue their homestand. They host Calgary Wednesday night at Pechanga Arena. Who knows how many goals will be scored then? Cleveland rocks. The Cavaliers of Cleveland are 15-0. They're one of only 4 teams in the history of the National Basketball Association to start a year 15-0. This is truly historic territory. The other 3 all made the NBA Finals. 2 of them won. So pressure's on you, Cleveland. One of the early games of the year coming up tomorrow night in the NBA Cup, no less, when Cleveland will visit defending NBA champion Boston. That's going to be a gas. Lakers have won 5 in a row, running their record to 9-4 on the season. LA won a road back-to-back last weekend in San Antonio and New Orleans. Clippers beat Utah 116-105 yesterday, evening their record at 7-7. During that game, James Harden moved into second place all-time on the NBA's three-point shots made list. He's still about 1,000 behind Steph Curry, who keeps pouring them in.
Right.
But
still, it's a lot of threes.
Harden's got the second most
Yeah.
in NBA history. Clippers beat Utah, mentioned that, even their record to 7-7. 8 games tonight, highlighted by Warriors-Clippers at Intuit Dome.
Warriors.
That's where the number 1 and number 2 three-point shooters will be lobbing in threes.
Come out and play.
On other sides of the arena. Also, the Houston Rockets putting a 5-game winning streak on the line in Milwaukee. Last thing for me, First time we've talked about it this season, but it's definitely not going to be the last. Let's start to put Alex Ovechkin on our collective sports radars. The Russian superstar from the Washington Capitals. He's got 13 goals in 17 games. That leads the league. Here's the thing. Ovi is 39 years old.
I was going to say.
He's the oldest player ever to lead the league in goals scored. And he scored his 31st career hat trick yesterday in a 5-2 win. He's only one off fifth all-time in hat tricks. But get this, Ovechkin is now 28 goals away from a record that was thought to never be approached, Wayne Gretzky's 894 goals. And right now, on a 60-goal pace, Ovechkin could actually pass 900 career goals this year if he keeps it up. And, of course, with him scoring so much, I wouldn't be surprised to let you know that the Capitals are 12-4-1. Yeah. They're playing extremely well. Tonight, the Capitals are in Salt Lake City, Utah, where they will take on the Club. The Club will be on the ice.
Personal foul on Craig.
Capitals versus Club.
His first foul of the game.
Also, the Ducks are at Dallas. Back to you.
Baden.
That should be a second foul. Foul on Annie.
Annie, quick whistle for the Baden.
That's right. All right, high school football over the weekend. It was some good games throughout San Diego County. A lot of close games throughout San Diego County, but it sets up a Open Division championship on Saturday and semifinals for every other division coming up on Friday. Only 4 teams left per division coming up this Friday. Carlsbad will take on Granite Hills after Granite Hills knocked off Torrey, and Carlsbad beat Rancho Bernardo. San Marcos will host El Camino. El Camino rolled over Mount Miguel last week. San Marcos handled Del Norte. That will be your semifinals for D1. In D2, it was Mater Dei beating Bishops. It was Helix beating La Jolla. Those two will meet in the semifinals, and they will play the winner of Poway and University City. Poway beat Point Loma, and UC was able to knock off Christian in that quarterfinal game. On Division 3, San Diego High will take on St. Augustine. San Diego High beat up on Escondido. St. Augustine, who had an 0-10 season in the regular season, won their first playoff game against La Jolla Country Day, and then took on a 10-0 Holtville team that was waiting for them in a first-round bye. 10-0 regular season Holtville, 0-10 regular season St. Augustine. St. Augustine goes out to Holtville and leaves with a 10-6 victory and are now 1 game away from potentially making it to the Division III CIF Finals.
That is an upset of all upsets.
Former Charger Stephen Cooper and his son, who were at St. Augustine last year, are now at San Diego High. So a little bit of a former club rematch that will be at Balboa Stadium on Friday night. Should be fun. San Pasqual will take on Central of El Centro. It'll be a far drive for them. San Pasqual knocked off East Lake, and Central beat up on Henry. Only beat them by 8, actually. That's the D3 playoffs. In D4, Ron Berners, El Cap Vaqueros will take on Anthony Lawrence's Grossmont Foothillers in a game of Grossmont schools. Yeah. One's in the Valley League, one's in the Grossmont Hills League. Winner will go to the CIF Championship for Division 4 and take on the winner of Montgomery and Westview. Montgomery was able to knock off Ramona, which was the number 1 seed in Division 4. Montgomery was the 5. Nice upset for the Aztecs up in cold Ramona on Friday night. And then Westview was able to beat Mission Bay 18-14. So that is the stage for D4. In D5 will be Bonita and Crawford and Vista and Monta Vista. Monta Vista was only allowed to be in the playoffs this year because Rancho Buena Vista elected to not participate. So everybody moved up a spot, and Monta Vista, who was not going to be in, got bumped to the 12. They are now 1 game away from making it to a CIF championship game. Should be fun this Friday night. In college football, Florida Atlantic has fired Tom Herman on Monday. The school announced just 2 years into his tenure. Florida Atlantic was 6-16 during Herman's 2 seasons and had gone 0-6 in the AAC this year. FAU is on a 5-game losing streak. Not a lot of patience in college football at this point in time. Guy's in his 2nd year as the coach at FAU, already gotten fired. So that's cool. Northwestern has unveiled some plans for their new $850 million Ryan Field. It will be the smallest stadium in the Big Ten. They are downsizing to 35,000 seats and are putting in some very lavish suites. Ryan Field has elements from recently constructed NFL stadiums as well as soccer facilities in MLS and the English Premier League.
Huh.
Wonder how much the pizza will cost.
What will the chicken
there.
tenders cost?
Yeah.
If you take a look at some of the suite renderings, I would imagine the pizza there is going to cost very, very much. It's going to be a lot.
Will it be
I mean,
$300?
their suites look like the Prado.
Ooh.
So it's going to be very bougie.
It's going to be very luxe. Yeah.
At Northwestern. Final thing, this was Annie's What's Good, but I do want to mention it again. USD men's soccer wins its third straight West Coast Conference title.
Way
they
to
will
go.
host UC Davis in the first round of the NCAA tournament on Thursday. Winner will play number 10 Duke, who San Diego already played this season, and tied here at Torero Stadium very early in the year. So congratulations to Brian Quinn and company for USD men's soccer. Football team for the men's for USD won on senior day 45-7.
Wow.
45-8. 6. I don't know. 45-12. It was 45
Big to little.
It was a lot. It was a lot to a little. USD was a perfect 6 for 6 in scoring touchdowns in their first 6 drives of the game. Basketball team, not so much. They took a loss to Idaho State. It's going to be tough sledding for the Toreros in men's basketball this year. Aztecs lost to UNLV. In football and UCSD, basketball lost over the weekend. And that's it for your local colleges and other things like
And
that.
stuff.
Yeah, boy, UCSD was down 20 at the half to Seattle. They came back a little bit, but
Future West Coast Conference.
it was not no bueno. Didn't work out. But hey, you know what? 2-2. They'll bounce back. They'll get them next time. All right, let's take a time out. That was your 12 o'clock sports fix. Appreciate you. Bless you, Anna. Braden. Why did I say Adam? We were just talking about Adam. Foul number 2. I didn't call you Brandon.
That's 2 fouls.
That's 2.
2 personal fouls for Craig. Annie should have at least 3 fouls for her.
Just
All
on
the
the mic
pausing
alone.
today.
I mean,
Right.
honestly, she should have been on the
Already on the bench.
early
And you know
foul
what?
trouble.
Sometimes they
2
miss.
fouls in the first segment.
Sometimes the refs miss, you know?
The refs are warming up still.
That's right.
Italian Paul's just waiting over there on the bench. He's like,
Come on.
I can come in.
You're ready to get in.
Yeah. And he needs to he's arrested not to get in more foul trouble. Make it to the entire show.
Load management.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a long week, too. I mean,
Oh,
not a good start.
When
Or a
we-
great start, depending on how you're looking at it.
I think it's good. When we come back, NBA roundup from the weekend that was, including some great news for fans of the league and fans of Shaq and Kenny the Jet and Ernie Johnson et al. We will get to that and maybe a new format for the All-Star game this season. Talk about it all when we return. It's San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 1228 on the Fan. Welcome back, everybody. It's Annie and Elsten here with you. Appreciate you being here. Be here all week, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Figuring out what's what in the world of sports. A little NBA wrap-up here for you from the weekend. I already mentioned in the fix the teams that are hot. I mean, Cleveland 15-0 is crazy.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's crazy. You know one of the main reasons why they're 15-0? No injuries.
Oh.
No injuries. Almost everyone's hurt.
I wonder if that's going to last. It's a long season.
I mean, everyone's hurt right now in the NBA. It's just wild, and it's been bad luck. You know, it's easy to throw arrows and go, oh, load management, murder. Well, if you don't remember, last year the league took major steps to address people just sitting players. I mean, there's like literally investigations if you sit guys these days. No, everyone's just hurt. Like Chet Holmgren broke his pelvis. Jalen Morant hurt his hip. You know, hamstring injuries. There's been injuries galore. With that said, All-Star game coming up in February, and it was an unmitigated disaster last year. If you remember, there was something like 160 three-point attempts in the game. The final score was, I believe, 211 to 186. I might be off a point.
I mean, hasn't this been a struggle for them because no one's really playing hard? No one's really playing defense.
No one's playing defense at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all they're doing is it's watching a layup line or a three-point shooting warm-up is what it is. It's been disastrous, really. So they keep tweaking. Right? So, you know, a few years ago they did what seemed like fun. Let's do a captain's picks, you know, a little draft, schoolyard pick type thing. You know, that was great. And then they played the game and no one gave a damn again. You know, they did the Elam ending. Great idea, Elam ending. Problem is still nobody gave a damn, you know, and it wasn't until the last 5 minutes that they tried. So the latest, the All-Star game's in San Francisco this year. It's Steph Curry's game. You know what I mean? Like, he's the host, so to speak. It's his game, his place. It's going to be the last time in his career that the Warriors' home court will host the All-Star game. So there's been a lot of NBA reporting, Annie, that literally Steph Curry and Adam Silver have, you know, not hold themselves up in a booth inside a diner or something. I don't know where they've done their confabbing, probably a series of text messages, but that they are working on creating a new format this year for the All-Star game. And what they're bandying about is a 4-team tournament format. So you'd have 12 West Coast All-Stars. You'd have 12 East Coast All-Stars. That's 24 players. Those players would get chopped up into 3 teams of 8. And then the 4th team would come from the NBA Rising Stars game, which is played earlier in NBA weekend. So whoever won NBA Rising Stars game, then players from that team would come up. And then they'd have, you know, like a little 4-team bracket. And they'd have, you know, a semifinals and a finals. But would they play hard? I mean, if they don't play hard, who cares?
I appreciate that Adam Silver is talking to players and perhaps trying to find a better way to do this. That sounds like a good idea. I don't know that it changes much in terms of the intensity.
Yeah. 3-on-3 might be more intense, you know? And the NHL did the same thing too, right? They started doing a 3-on-3 tournament. They broke it down into divisions. They queued it around. It's competition. Competition makes a good game. Not competing makes a bad game. And figuring out how to flip the switch so that all-stars compete like they're playing for the NBA Cup when they're playing for the All-Star game. Maybe it's impossible. Maybe it's undoable. But that's what you got to figure it out, is how to influence the players to defend and to play the game like it's a game as opposed to, well, and so, you know what? I'll throw one more thing at you. How about let's peel away all of the inside the game nonsense. Like they were interviewing Donovan Mitchell while he was on the floor during the last All-Star game, like as he's shooting threes. Well, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
How can you ever pay attention to a game when you've got an earpiece and you're talking to Charles and Shaq?
Was this the game where this last year they had like the court like light up on TV and make it look.
Yeah, that was
you saw the
the night
stats and
before.
everything.
That was
the
really
night
cool.
before. Okay,
yeah,
that was cool.
that part I really liked.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the players part of it where they don't want to get injured. It's a long season. It's their season isn't over. They don't want to overexert. However, you would hope there was a level they could reach that is maybe not putting them in consequential danger for injury, but also a little more than they're doing, I guess.
I mean, when MLS is playing Liga MX, at least it's a fun all-star game because you feel like there's some pride on the line.
What if it was like for a charity? Would they play any harder? Or was
No
it?
chance.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
The only charity that these guys are going to, I don't mean to sound cynical saying it, but
They can also just donate whatever they want to any charity at any time.
If they
really,
put a $5 million pot or a $10 million pot at the end of it and said, if you're, the winners get this, the losers get nothing, something.
Yeah.
Something that would create intensity, because otherwise, honestly, I think that's what I said when we were on the air after the first All-Star weekend in our tenure, which was just cancel the game. Like, do the skills contest.
I like the skills contest.
Do the dunks. Do the three-pointing.
Why don't you just do more of that? Right.
Yeah, and then just, doop, no game.
Yeah.
Because right now it was like, honestly, it was like watching a layup line when it was boring as hell. Maybe new tournament, new idea, eight-person team. I like the idea of the 8-person team because at least then people aren't getting lost on the teams, the 11th, 12th guys.
Let's see if Steph Curry can save the All-Star game.
He's going to have to do it by himself. Last note before we go, if you didn't catch this over the weekend, it's a great note for NBA fans, which is that TNT resolved its lawsuit with the NBA. If you remember, quick refresher, the NBA has a new league rights package. The new rights package takes over next year. ABC ESPN is still the number one person on that group. Number 2 is NBC, and number 3 is Amazon Prime. And TNT had in their contract the right to match Amazon's part of the deal. Mm-hmm. And then the NBA said, actually, we don't think you can match it. And they didn't let them match it. And then Warner Brothers Discovery took them to court. Now they've settled. Well, the great news is part of the settlement is that TNT is going to continue to produce Inside the NBA with Ernie Johnson and Shaq and Kenny the Jet and Charles Barkley. And the broadcast will still be hosted by, TNT, produced by TNT. All the TNT workers continue to work on the show. And then they're going to farm it out to ABC ESPN starting next season and continuing forward. And meanwhile, TNT still has the right to develop other shows with Charles and Shaq and, the podcasts and whatever else they want to do. So they've got all the global rights, so they get to still have games outside of the United States under the TNT banner. But I just think it's great news because this great show Inside the NBA was going to be gone at the end of the year. And now it gets to roll on as part of the number one set. So it means they'll actually be able to cover the finals. They've always been out at the conference finals level. Now they'll be able to be on the finals as well.
Yeah. I mean, from a fan perspective, you're still getting the same show that you love. And I don't know if they'll change it a lot or not at all, but it seems like it's at least a win in that perspective because that show is so popular and they do such a good job on it to keep that band together. And then just to be able to see it, like you said, on a bigger platform seems like a good thing for them.
Yeah, and I think ESPN doesn't get to put their fingers on it production-wise.
There you go.
It's
You're
a
just
TNT
plucking
production.
it and putting it on there. Okay.
Exactly, and they just
I think
air
that's
it.
great. Yeah. I mean, this is obviously, it's been working for them for so long. They've got it down to a T, and it's a fun show. And even if you don't love basketball, you enjoy the show, or you're not super passionate about it, it brings you in. It's a show that brings you in. So the same cast of characters, you get to see this. You still get to see the show, and I guess the money issues get resolved then.
Yes. They've solved that. There's all sorts of little other things that are, like I saw somewhere in there that Warner Brothers is going to get some Big 12 football games now as a result of the settlement.
And basketball.
And basketball games. So, yeah, just like random little things are being sliced off.
Games that would usually be on ESPN Plus are going back to linear TV for Big 12 fans. So.
That's good news for Big 12 fans.
Good, right?
So I'll be able to watch instead. I mean, I have ESPN Plus, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But at the same time, it's, now you get it's a lot easier to flip back and forth between games when you have that kind of stuff. So I like it from the Big 12 perspective.
Your NBA weekend roundup. They've resolved the lawsuit, and they're trying to figure out a good All-Star game. It may be impossible, but they're trying. I appreciate the effort. keep thinking about it.
Yeah. Keep having your roundtables, your discussions.
I miss the round table.
I don't know if theirs is a roundtable. It sounds like it's more just a Steph and Adam Silver
You just missed the
conversation.
pizza.
I do miss the pizza.
Nothing stopping you from going to buy it.
$300. Is it? No, it's less than that. I did buy. By the way, I did buy a round table pizza a couple weekends ago. You know why? Because I just missed it.
That's right.
I literally missed it.
Did you have literal flashbacks when
Guys
you were eating
hooked.
it?
No, not flashbacks.
Get any
I
more of
just
that
ate the pizza.
nostalgia?
Got any more of that round table?
Got that sweet, sweet sauce.
The thing is, when it's here, there's so many different varieties.
Yeah.
Right.
When you have to buy it, you've got to choose
choose.
which one you want.
Instead
Right.
of buying 15 pizzas.
There was. I prefer the
Nate in the
assembly
chat
line.
says, "I just heard Tony roll his eyes."
Oh, good ears.
Yes.
When we come back, it's time to play our first silly game of the week, and it's a Too Fast Money game week this week here on Annie and Elsten. So we are playing the bonus round from the very popular Family Feud game show next, and up for grabs, a qualification chance to win our grand prize at the end of the month. 2-night stay at Westgate, Las Vegas, 2 tickets to see Soul of Motown, and a $150 food and beverage credit. Tickets at westgateresorts.com. But all you got to do is call in to become our contestant today to play Fast Money. 833-288-0973 is our phone number. 833-288-0973. Call us during the break. We're going to screen and find a contestant, and when we come back, we play silly games. Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino features newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovations. Home of legendary Vegas fun, the award-winning Soul of Motown is a high-energy concert-style musical tribute celebrating Motown legends. It's a must-see show. Wow. This is a must-see show during your Las Vegas vacation getaway. Tickets at westgateresorts.com. Time for Silly Games. We do it every day at 12:45 on Annie and Elsten. We play a silly game. We have a silly prize. The silly prize is being qualified for a 2-night stay at Westgate Las Vegas, 2 tickets to see the Soul of Motown, plus a $150 food and beverage credit. And this is what we're doing. Here we go. It is fast money time. And thanks to everyone who hung up, today's contestant is David in Del Cerro. Hi, David. Thanks for not hanging up. You're today's contestant on Fast Money.
Fantastic. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Tell us just a little bit about yourself before we play the game.
Well, I am a very big Vikings fan, and I am retired and having fun.
All right.
All right.
Well, your Vikes are 8-2. Let's see if you can put a win on the board today. Playing Fast Money. Here's how it's going to work, David. You're going to start with an option. You have the choice of playing either Annie or myself in the game. When you make that choice, the host you pick is going to leave the room. Then our resident Richard Dawson, Mr. Braden Soprenant, will stand by. He has surveyed a recent studio audience of Annie and Elsten and gotten their most popular answer to 5 different questions. He's going to give you those 5 questions. You'll have 60 seconds to try and find the most popular answer. When you're done, host walks back in, unable to repeat the answers you've given, and we'll tally them up at the end. And if you win, you're in the hopper for Vegas. David, would you like to play Craig or Annie today?
Let's go with Craig.
All right.
Right.
I'm out of here. Turn over the scoreboard to you, Annie. Good luck.
Ready to go.
All right, 1 minute on the clock starts after I ask you question number 1. Name a place where you might see someone playing the piano.
Concert.
Concert? Sounds
Concert, yes.
good. Name a place where you would bring a portable speaker.
To the beach.
The
Yes.
beach. Name a place you are likely to hear someone curse.
Ball game.
Sporting events.
Sporting event, yeah.
Name a place you see an antenna.
Top of the house.
House. Good answer. And then final one for you. Name a popular cocktail garnish.
Let's go with a orange.
An orange.
These are good
Winfield,
answers.
Yeah. Or orange wedge.
An orange wedge.
These
Oh.
are good answers. Okay, Craig's coming back in. So hold tight, David.
All right. He did pretty well.
He did.
He did
Okay.
pretty well.
All right.
At least from what we can gather.
Well, I'll
1
be the
minute on the
judge of
clock
that.
after I ask you question number
Actually-
1.
Braden will be the judge of that.
Name a place where you might see someone playing the piano.
At a bar.
At a bar. Name a place where you would bring a portable speaker.
Golf course.
Golf. Name a place you are likely to hear someone curse.
At a ball game.
Try again.
Dang it. Where would I hear someone curse? How about public transportation? I'm covering all of subways, buses, or anything else.
Name a place you see an antenna.
An antenna?
Yeah.
Yes.
Car.
Car,
Try
no.
again. No?
That's
Wow.
good.
That had to
Name
be
a
number one.
popular cocktail garnish.
An olive.
Olive. That's a good answer there. Give me a second. Let me tally this up.
Good
Then we'll
answers.
bring in
David.
David again.
What about me?
No, good answers from
Oh,
both of you.
okay.
Like, I'm not sure who it's going to go to. Good answers.
This is exciting.
Uh,
All right, let's figure it out. Hang on, David.
Okay.
All right, some of these are close enough, so I'm going to give some credit on some of these.
That's fair.
Question number 1. Name a place where you might see someone playing the piano. David said, a concert. Well, of course, 35 points, number 1 answer.
Oh, okay.
Craig said, at a bar. 16 points.
Give us a song. You're the piano man.
That's right. We'll go with nightclub getting 16 points
That's
for
fair.
that.
Yeah, that's a bar.
Name a place where you would bring a portable radio or speaker, to put it in this general terms. David said beach.
Great
28
call.
points.
Great
Number
call.
1 answer for beach.
Yeah, I'm going to get 0.
Number 2 was, and we're going to give Craig credit for park. 24 points for golf.
That's pretty close.
It's kind of a park.
It is a park.
Name a place you are likely to hear someone curse. David said, at a sporting event. 26 points
Doing well.
for a sporting event. Craig said public transit. 0. You get 0, and you'll like it.
If you've ridden the subway, you've heard someone curse before. I'm telling you.
Number one was bar, followed by sporting event, work, boxing match.
Oh, wow.
Why is boxing match different
That's
than a
a
sporting
sporting
event?
event,
Yeah,
right.
I agree. Tax office and jail /
Tax
prison.
office.
Jail.
That's right.
It's a good one.
I should have said a bar. Oh, well.
Work.
Okay, moving on.
Name a place you see an antenna. David said house. 28 points.
Dang.
Craig said car. 24 points.
Wow.
Number 1 was a roof.
Okay.
I know. It was a roof.
Isn't a house and
my
a roof
God.
the same
Yeah.
thing?
Well, it could be a
Yeah,
roof
that's
of a
the thing.
building. Could be a roof of a non-house.
Oh,
That's true. That's true.
I
Could
guess
be
the
a-
antenna
yeah.
could be inside
Number
the house.
commercial
four
building.
is a radio. Number 5 was a radio station. Name a popular cocktail garnish. David said orange.
I like that.
0 for
Wow,
orange.
orange peel on an old fashioned. I'm with you, David. I get you.
David has 117 points.
How did
Okay.
you do the math that fast?
It's called Excel. Does it for me.
Okay.
Craig said olives. Number 1 answer. 52 points.
Oh! Craig wins, I think.
No, he does
I don't
not.
do the math. Oh.
He does not win.
What?
David wins
Congratulations,
117 to 116.
What? 17 to 116?
Yes.
1 point?
1 point L.
Oh, my gosh.
Hold this L.
Whoa.
David, great
Chris
job.
Paul nailing meaningless threes at the end.
I
Just
know.
drilling those
Unreal.
threes.
You were down 4 and hit a
1
half
point
court shot for
difference.
3 to lose by
You just
1.
needed to not have public transport.
Yes.
Oh, I just
Anything
needed one
else?
better answer.
Anything else
Like
and
a
you
4-point
win.
answer and you win.
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
Well,
That's okay.
David,
At least
congrats.
David gets to be
Qualified
Yeah.
again.
Oh, it's good.
That's
It's
the word I'm
good.
looking
And
for.
David, you also earned the honor of winning the closest game in Fast Money history. So
117 to 116.
that was exciting. All right, David, stay right there. Stay on hold. Our man Braden is going to get your information during the commercial timeout between here and our 1 o'clock hour. Okay, what an exciting game. Dang,
was a-
Craig
that
hit
was
a
a close one.
comeback.
Craig hit a half court shot down 4 at the
Almost
buzzer.
made it. You're gonna be up late tonight.
My competitive
obsessing
juices
about
have
this.
been
Right.
stoked by the closeness of the game.
The
Now I'm excited.
popular cocktail garnish: olives, cherry, lemon, lime, celery for Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Bloody
Pineapple.
Mary. Yeah. Olive nailed it
That's a
on
good
the
one.
olive. Oh,
I mean, you guys
transport's
both
so
put up
bad.
zeros, so for a question,
Yeah,
so you
It was
can't,
a good game.
you know.
Close
it's a
match.
good game. I don't mind losing because, David, you seem like a swell chap. Even though I hope the Lions beat the Vikings. Oh, they already did. Never mind. So stay right there. We'll get your info. We hope you make it to Vegas. When
I got
we
his
come
info
back,
already. He's good to go.
okay, cool. When we come back, hour number 4 of Annie and Elsten, we are going to hit reset on some of the topics from earlier and talk about college football playoff, which is super convoluted. All coming up. Hour number 4 of the show. Welcome back. It's Annie and Elsten here with you. Roll until 2 o'clock. Gwen and Chris, they're back. They check in from 2 to 4:30. Then they head out, presumably maybe to the Aztecs game. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see.
That is our Aztec show.
It is.
Yeah, and during their show, the Rookie of the Year will be announced.
It will. That'll be at 3 o'clock. It is 2 hours away. 2 hours plus, I'm sure, some bibbly-babbledy-boobledy.
That thing never happens quickly. Yeah,
Yeah.
none of their awards happen quickly. It'll be drawn out.
Let's drag it out.
Yes.
Greg Amsinger will talk to Dan O'Dowd about various choices. Video packages
There'll be
will
highlight
be
reels,
produced.
right?
It should be a good way for me to.
Is this the only award they're announcing tonight?
Yeah, the AL and NL
And they have a full
Rookies of the
hour
Year.
for that. A full hour for this award?
I think so. Boy, what a waste of time.
Yes.
They could just post it on a
They could,
bulletin
I
board
mean,
and we
or-
could take a picture of it, you know?
And then there's another, it's just like a drip feed. Then there's another award tomorrow, which is the Manager of the Year award, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it just kind of.
Then it's the Cy Youngs and then it's the MVPs.
Okay.
So 4 days.
Is it always at 3
glorious
o'clock
days.
every day?
I think it is.
Okay. Well, at least that's consistent. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Indeed. We talked about these things a little early in the show as well, but yeah. Now we're actually honing in. We're 6 hours from Gonzaga, San Diego State,
Should be a fun game.
Viejas Arena. It's going to be rocking.
Mm-hmm.
The Aztecs, someone had said in the chat earlier that money had come in on San Diego State and that the line had dropped to 9.5. I'm not going to give the betting folks the click to jump over there and figure it out. Whatever it is, it's around 10 points is where San Diego State is an underdog on their home floor because Gonzaga is averaging close to 100 points a game.
Yeah.
Through 3 games. They took on Baylor and completely waxed them in their opening game. They're healthy. They've got 4 returning starters from a great team that was thought to be a national championship contender last year. So Gonzaga's the real you-know-what. I mean, they're a real team. They're a real Final Four contender, and this is the return leg. Last year, the Aztecs went up to the Kennel and beat the Bulldogs, beat them by 10, stunned them. It was the signature win of the year. It was the win that told us all Aztecs are going to the tournament. You know, in December, you knew the Aztecs are going to the tournament because they beat Gonzaga at Gonzaga. So Gonzaga wants revenge tonight. They're favored to get that revenge. I'm lucky enough, thanks to the station, I'm going to be able to attend this game. I'm very excited for that. And, you know, nervous. I just come in trying to kind of tamp expectations a little bit, going, okay, the Aztecs have played what? They've played San Diego State. They played one other team, right? And then they played Occidental. Isn't that right?
The Aztecs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they played UC San Diego, Occidental, and they
Is that it?
I think
Just
they
2
only played
games?
2 games.
Maybe just 2 games. So they played the Tritons and Occidental. Like, you know, I mean, we played a scrimmage against UCLA. We played some closed door, such and such. But
Yeah.
this is it. This is the coming out party. And for San Diego State, it's all about, can we create enough ruckus inside the arena to potentially let that energy sap into this Aztecs team that's full of freshmen and sophomores and transfers, and see if it can light a spark under these kids.
Yeah, and it's a team that normally wouldn't play Gonzaga this early in the season, but that's what the scheduling ended up being. So last year when they won and they beat them on the road, it was in December. This, you're still trying to figure out your team. You have a very new team. No one's returning really that's played them, except you've got Miles Hyde, and who had, I think it was at 2 points or 2 points and 2 rebounds.
come on,
in last year's game, right? And then Wayne McKinney III, but they've lost every game that they played with the Toreros or that he played with them. So, a little familiarity there, but nothing that you're really hanging your hat on. This is going to be a test. It'll be a test for the Aztecs. And I know from what we know about Brian Dutcher and Coach Fisher, led teams, they will be ready for it. Can the execution be there for a team that's finding its legs and finding its way against a Gonzaga team that you mentioned is really good and is coming in wanting some revenge? I mean, this is a game that's been circled on their calendar and that they've talked to reporters about. We can't wait to come to San Diego State and to try to do to them what they did to us last year. We're looking forward to this one. And even Brian Dutcher, I saw in the UT, had a quote saying, I'm sure they'll have a long memory, right? So,
of course.
Yeah, so I think that's what's going to make this game fun. I hope it's competitive no matter which way it goes. Of course, you want SDSU to win. And like Brian Dutcher also said, you want them to be able to, if the Aztecs lose, you want them to be able to rebound quickly and learn from it and get better and then go on to face their next stretch, because it's going to be a bit of a tough stretch in these next few weeks.
Yeah, you got the NIL tournament next week, right?
Yeah.
Around Thanksgiving. So you got Creighton, you got
Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon, and then you got a third team that's yet
right.
to be determined, but that's going to be another probably ranked team. So Aztecs are in a stretch really of their true non-conference schedule. These 4 games are really it. I mean, you've got USD.
Teams in that tournament: Alabama, Houston, Texas A&M, Creighton, Rutgers. All 5 of those teams are ranked.
Yeah.
And San Diego State, Oregon, and Notre Dame.
So, right, the only way the Aztecs wouldn't face a ranked team is if they 0-2'd the first 2 games and wound up in the 7-8 game in the third game of the tournament. That'd be the only way. Otherwise, it's going to be 4 straight ranked teams. So, for San Diego State, this is at the same time a building moment, a moment where a young team is without their 2 top leaders in Reese Waters and Miles Bird, and a moment where the Aztecs probably have to win 2 games out of the 4.
I would think so. That's what you're hoping to do, right? At least get 2 out of the 4.
And if you do that, then you're okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're okay. But if you actually kick all 4 of these games and wind up 1-4, going basically into a never-ending conference schedule and not really having great strength of schedule the rest of the way, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and you don't have your health yet. You don't have Reese Waters, Miles Bird, although there was some rumors about could he join tonight. If he does and he is able to take the floor, how healthy will he be? How much will he be able to give? I have a feeling he's not going to be to that point, but we'll see. Maybe he is, and maybe he's a bit of a decoy in some instances, or they're able to use him in a good situation. But they still have to try to get these guys to these next games coming up as well.
Yeah, it's hard to hide when you're 5-on-5.
This is true.
You know what I mean? Like,
you don't get that advantage quite as much.
The decoy
right?
might work one time down the floor. The rest of the time, they're going to be like, don't guard this guy. He can't move.
We know what's going on, yeah.
So that's coming up. MLB Rookie of the Year Awards coming up, 3 o'clock. We'll find out. Is it Skeens or is it Merrill? And tomorrow we'll react. And to be honest, we've talked about it for so many months now that I've gone through all the 5 stages in advance, and I'm at acceptance. So Merrill wins, amazing. We'll be psyched. If he finishes second, he finished second to a kid who's tracking to be a Hall of Famer, right? So...
Yes.
There's no shame in it. There's no shame in it either way.
And there's nothing that Jackson Merrill could have done more. I mean, he had a rookie season for the ages. He put up a incredibly great argument as to why he should be Rookie of the Year, and I think it just really depends on how you view the award. I think there'll be some voters who are like everyday player who did what Jackson Merrill did and not only led all rookies in so many categories, but was right up there with great major league players just in general offensive categories in the top 5 or top 10 because he was so dominant. It depends on how you view it. There'll be some, I think, writers that view that as way more impactful. And then there'll be other ones who look at Paul Skeens, and even though he was only pitching once every 5 days, no rookie pitcher in the live ball era made as many starts as him. He had that sub-2 ERA. He set some records himself. So it really depends on how you look at the award.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with Skeens winning. There's a lot of voters who are going to be afraid that they are missing their opportunity to vote for a future Hall of Famer and that they're going to look bad in retrospect. The one thing I would just say is a cautionary tale. Guy could be very well within our radio station's listening range right now because he is a denizen of North County, and that's Mark Pryor. Mm-hmm. When Mark Pryor came up, Mark Pryor was not just looking like the best pitcher in baseball. He looked like the prototype for what any superstar pitcher could possibly be, right? 6'5", 230, strong, muscular, big shoulders, perfect mechanics. Everyone looked at Mark Pryor and said, he has the most impeccable mechanics that anyone has ever seen. Like, impeccable. Cannot deviate. This guy is so perfect. He comes up, and at age 22, keep in mind, Paul Skeens, keep your eyes open. At age 22, Mark Pryor pitched 30 starts, 18 wins, 2.43 ERA, 211 innings, 245 strikeouts, led the major leagues in fielding independent pitching, finished third in the Cy Young voting. He barely had 200 more innings the rest of his career. Mm-hmm.
It's fickle. I mean, and I should have said for Paul Skeens, the stat is no rookie pitcher in the live ball era made as many starts as him and had a lower ERA. His 170 strikeouts were a new franchise record for rookies. It doesn't mean squat for the following year. Just the same as Jackson Merrill. You look at Jackson Merrill and it's like, I don't think this guy's going to fall off a cliff. But there's a reason that the guys who are in the league who have done this year in and year out are so respected, because if you're a ball player, you know how hard that is. I mean, even for the majority of your career to put up numbers that are eye-opening or jaw-dropping is, I mean, again, very impressive, and why so many players respect the guys who are able to have longevity like that, because it's really, really difficult to do.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm not trying to cast any aspersion on Paul Skeens. I hope he pitches 18 years in the big leagues and wins 250 games and strikes out 3,000 and makes it to the Hall of Fame. His numbers, when I just talk about that comparison between Mark Pryor and Paul Skeens, because it was Paul Skeens' age 22 year this year, it's a different universe, right? They kept him down in the minors at the beginning of the year. He didn't get 211 innings pitched, but he did start 23 games for 133 innings pitched. He did put it out there. He's a big fella. He's one injury away from you never knowing what the remainder of his career is going to be.
Yeah.
So that's the only point that I'm making with a guy like Skeens is, he looks like a Hall of Famer right now. But I'm telling you, in 2003, Mark Pryor looked like the number one pitcher you could possibly have on earth.
Yeah. And
do a redraft of the whole universe. Who do you want? Pryor, number one pick. 2 years later, ouch, my shoulder hurts. Year after that, out of baseball. Out of baseball.
Crazy to think about. And you look at what Jackson Merrill's done. Over 156 games, led all major league rookies in FWAR, hits, extra base hits, RBI, batting average, slugging percentage, tied for first with 24 home runs. We also know what he did in center field. He was outstanding. He was clutch. While the Padres were in the midst of a tight playoff race, he launched 5 game-tying or go-ahead home runs in the 9th inning or later. That was the most in the majors in 2024 and the most by a rookie since at least 1961. And those came against really good relievers, Mason Miller, Blake Trinan, Edwin Diaz. I was looking at what AJ Cassavell wrote on MLB.com. They all made their case for which rookie of the year should win. And I don't know how you don't look at Jackson Merrill and think, man, this is a tough decision.
Yeah.
Because, what Paul Skeens has done is incredible. And I do think, starts the All-Star game, he in the world of popular vote, with the Livy Dunn and the hype around him and all that, there might be a little skewing toward him also for that reason of he's a pitcher that, like you just said with Mark Pryor, all the fanfare around him and that follows him and what he could do for the Pirates organization. But Jackson Merrill did it this year for the Padres. He made an impact day in and day out.
Paul Skeens last year wasn't a shortstop.
Right.
Taking ground balls.
Transitioning to the outfield.
He was, and always will be, a starting pitcher. He was a starting pitcher at LSU. Jackson Merrill a year ago was a shortstop taking ground balls, as a 20-year-old in Double-A, barely, after spending most of the year in High A. He got to Double-A. He came to spring training as the biggest unknown on the team and thought to be the starting left fielder. And then we signed Jurickson, and then it's like, oh, no, go to center field, which you've literally never played. He at least had played left field like a handful of games in Double-A. He had never played the position. He wound up being an above-average defender who has the tools to become a Gold Glove defender. I'm convinced of that. Okay. But Silver Slugger, one of, 6 rookies ever to win the Silver Slugger?
All-Star game, his rookie year. really played like a veteran for most of the season. And that's kind of what I think if you look at Paul Skeens and you make that argument, just like Jackson Merrill ended up among the greats, the Mookie Betts and the Manny Machados and all the hitters that he grew up watching, right? Or even having better numbers than them in some categories. Paul Skeens, among all pitchers with at least 130 innings pitched, he led the NL in ERA, expected ERA, strikeouts per 9, walks and hits per 9. So it's like they both have a good argument. Not just because Jackson Merrill is part of the Padres and we see him day in and day out, but because I think there is validity to this guy is helping your team on a day-to-day basis. He is there through a playoff stretch. He's helping you get to the playoffs. He was a huge part of all of that. I think that the impact of him is just greater. In a perfect world, you'd have a pitcher and a hitter, and it would be a no-brainer. There would be Jackson Merrill and Paul Skeens, and they would both get their awards, and that would be that.
Instead, we'll find out at 3, and we'll either be happy or sad, and probably we'll find out at 3:30
or like
50.
40. Yeah.
They'll do because they're going to
Are
do
they
the
going to do
American
AL
League
first?
too.
Do you think?
Probably just
Always.
because because the
Always.
AL this year, the rookie. I mean, it's like Colton Cowser,
Right.
and it's
not near as exciting.
Yeah, it's all the people who would have finished like 6th, 7th, and 8th in the National League.
It is partly timing, right? I mean, what kind of rookie class are you in?
Yeah.
In any other year, if these guys, even Jackson Churio, were just kind of standalones in their class, they would be the popular vote all the way. But this is a good rookie class.
Fun evening, potentially. Who knows? After the last, month of losses and seeing the Dodgers win and everything else, I've steeled myself to a second best fall, but hoping.
I think there's a good shot for Jackson Merrill. I think the fact that the players and the coaches, that he won that award among the teammates, his peers throughout baseball, I think that hopefully is something taken into consideration. Although I'm guessing all that voting happened at the same time before the BBWA. I mean, these votes have been in, I think. It's not like they're voting in the last week. They voted like weeks ago, or I think even by the end of the regular season. Right. So, hopefully there are some people that kind of looked that way and saw the same thing that the players and the coaches did. I think that's a huge honor for him to be recognized among his peers. I think that's a big deal.
We've given you over the course of almost 3.5 hours, a pretty solid tour of everything that's happened in the world of sports in the past weekend. We've got one spot left to stop, and that's the college football playoff.
Yes.
Tomorrow, the new rankings will be out, but it was a pretty tumultuous day yesterday. We've got Braden with a full update on the other side of this break. Ask us anything to wrap things up. Gwen and Chris at the top of the hour. That's your roadmap right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 123 on the Fan. Welcome back. It's Annie and Elsten. Gwen and Chris at the top of the hour. All right. One thing I forgot to get to on the fix, I'll just mention it briefly because, like I said, we're kind of hitting everything from the sports weekend.
Yes.
NWSL finals have been set. Orlando Pride, Washington Spirit. They played their semifinals this weekend. Orlando's the number one team. They won the Shield, so they could win the double. They will be the favorite, and they will be the host next weekend for the National Women's Soccer League Championship. MLS took the weekend off, which just seemed odd to me, but they did. And all the semifinals are taking place this coming weekend on Saturday and Sunday.
Good stuff.
So stay tuned for that. But right now, we'll turn our eyes back to college football. Our first college football segment, mostly focused on the price of pizza at Alliance Stadium in Las Vegas. $300 if you missed it. $190 for chicken wings.
Chicken tenders.
Chicken tenders, not even wings.
Right.
They're like chicken strips.
Yes.
And a 23% administration fee.
Not even the gratuity.
No.
Not even that.
Administration fee. We need to charge you an extra $120 for the administration of your pizza. Make sure it's getting to class on time.
That's right.
Well, as Braden says, college football, especially college sports, give us a plethora of things to talk about every day.
All the time. And now, Braden, you've got your eyes on the latest college football playoff rankings.
Yeah, and it's crazy. College football is crazy with everything that they put in. A lot of things that they decided to go to with conference realignment that is slowly starting to blow up in their face. I will say the carnage is nice. The on-field product and the parity is pretty great, but it's really playing itself out for them to expand the playoff again. And I could literally spend 4 hours on a proposal of how to fix college football, but I will not bore you with that today. That's for a different show. And I talked about over the weekend on my show, which you could go check out wherever you get your podcast, the Braden's Apprentice Show, an in-depth look at how how biased college athletics is based on how much money the networks spend to cover said deal. It's the product, right? Mm-hmm. They pay a lot of money for the product. Everybody complains, why does ESPN not talk about Major League Baseball? They only pay for Sunday Night Baseball. Other than that, it's not one of their products. They don't care. I mean, they're big NBA supporters. They have a huge contract with the NBA. They're going to be talking a lot of NBA on their shows, a lot of NFL on their shows.
Right.
Not going to talk about baseball. The same thing as for conferences, right? They obviously don't care about the Big 12. They just shipped off a lot of their rights to TNT.
Yeah, they did.
And they are fully invested in the SEC. And what teams are getting the most love on College Game Day? It's the SEC.
SEC.
It's the SEC. The SEC, and you start seeing everybody, the national media, just toes in line with the SEC and their dominance. And I watch the SEC now because my brother went to Tennessee, so I'm paying a lot more closer attention to it. But if you start looking at SEC games this year against other conferences, it was a lot of L's for the SEC schools against other conferences. Miami beat Florida 41-17 at the beginning of the year. L for the SEC. Cal beat Auburn 21-14. Well, those aren't really good teams. Arizona State beat Mississippi State. They're awful, Mississippi State. They beat them 30-23. Vanderbilt. Remember, who did Vanderbilt upset this year?
Alabama.
Do you know that Vanderbilt lost to Georgia State 36-32 this year? I mean, we're talking about SEC dominance, right? They have dominated the non-conference. USC, the Trojans. How good are the Trojans this year?
5-5.
They're okay. Mm-hmm. Not very good.
No.
They beat LSU 27-20 at the beginning of the season.
That's true.
Notre Dame, who lost to Northern Illinois at home. I think people have forgotten about that. We seem to have just brushed that under the rug. They beat Texas A&M 23-13. And how about the Arkansas Razorbacks?
How about them?
The Razorbacks that beat Tennessee, and is a big reason why Tennessee might be on the outside looking in. They played an Oklahoma State team that we talked about a couple weeks ago because they played the Horned Frogs. Oklahoma State is yet to win a Big 12 game. They beat Arkansas 39-31 this year. So where is the SEC dominance that we see time in and time out? I just think it's a lot of narratives. You look at Texas. Texas is 9-1 in the season. How many wins do they have against teams with a winning record in the SEC?
I don't know.
One. They beat Vanderbilt. They're one game above 500 in the SEC. That is their one win against the team with a winning record in the SEC. Their other games that they played against the team with the winning record was Georgia, and they lost. So it's funny to me how the narrative goes with certain schools, right? So like the Big 12 is cannibalizing itself like the Pac-12 used to, and they're lousy. But the SEC cannibalizes itself, and we're going to get to that in a second, and they're the greatest conference to ever live. They're just so good that they're cannibalizing themselves.
Very deceiving.
Except for the fact that one of these schools lost to Kentucky, and we're going to get to one of these schools that is expected to be in the playoff. They lost to Kentucky, who has one win in the SEC. They're getting smoked by everybody. But, they beat Ole Miss. So I find it very interesting. If you look at the projected college football playoff rankings, again, this comes out tomorrow. Oregon's number 1. They're 11-0. They're in the Big Ten. Makes a lot of sense. They're Ohio State's 2. Their only loss is to Oregon. I mean, I could show you Ohio State's non-conference schedule, and you'll just immediately want to vomit. Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall is their non-conference schedule. Wow, great job, Ohio State. Sure beating a lot of great teams out there. Texas, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, and Boise State you're probably your projected top 12. Now, your bracket's different because you got to get the Big 12 champ in there, and you're looking at Oregon, Texas, Miami, Boise State as a first-round bye. To relate it back to the Aztecs, we kept saying it was expanded playoff these next 2 years before they eliminate that automatic qualifier for one of the group of 6 schools. Better jump in on it. Boise State is going to have a bye, potentially. And if they don't get a bye, they might host the game in the first round. I mean, think about that. That could be San Diego State if they could figure their own crap out.
Right.
And UNLV's coming up the leaderboard.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever wins the Mountain West Conference is going to be in the playoff. So those would be your top 4 seeds: Oregon, Texas, Miami, Boise State. Ohio State would host BYU. Penn State would host Georgia. Indiana would host Ole Miss, and Notre Dame would host Alabama. And then you look at your projected outside looking in. I don't know why SMU is getting, rigged on this, being at 9-1. They're probably better than Miami. In fact, Miami's not even going to make they're not even going to make their conference championship game if things stand the way they are.
Wow.
Because Clemson and SMU have better records in the ACC. And so you're going to put Miami's just going to be the ACC champ. They might even make their conference championship game. You look at Tennessee, they might be out. But you start looking at blind resumes, you take the names off. I'm curious to see who you guys would pick in this blind resumes of 4 teams. You have team A, B, C, and D. They are all 8-2. I have the numbers in front of you. You can check it out.
Yep, I'm looking.
Strength of record. Strength of record is, the lower the number that is, the better it is. That is how good an average college football team would do, how difficult it would be for an average college football team to go through your schedule.
Okay.
So what that means is what you've accomplished. If you got a very low number, that means you have done things better than what an average college football team would do with your schedule. So strength of record is very good. So
and they're all good. All 4 of these teams are somewhere between 2 and 12.
Team B has the highest with 2, and the lowest one is Team C with 12. Strength of schedule, that's obviously, you could put that together how you would. Team B's got the best strength of schedule, obviously with the best strength of record. The lowest strength of schedule is Team C with 29. If you look at Football Power Index, some of that involves recruiting, but all 4 of them are ranked in the top 4 for the Football Power Index. Now, they've all played each other. Team A beat Team D and lost at Team B. Team B lost to Team C and beat Team A. Team
Feels like
C
a logic puzzle.
beat B, and Team D lost to A and beat B. I mean, they've all kind of intertwined. Yes. How would you, based on the information in front of you, see just those 4 schools?
Well, obviously, Team B has the lowest strength of record and strength of schedule. They've only got that loss to the C, but they beat the A, so I'd put Team B first.
Okay.
Then I would go probably with I said Team B first, right?
Correct.
So I'd go with Team A second because I'd go with Team D second because they beat Team B, right? And then I'd go Team A third because their one loss was to Team B, and then I'd go Team C fourth.
Annie?
I would go with Team C. I have no reasoning for this.
I like it.
Then I would like to go with BD.
So you went BDAC, Craig?
I went BDAC.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to go with C. I'm going to go with Team A.
Okay.
Team D. Team B.
And then you go Team B.
C.
Sadab.
I thought you could have done Seabad. Like
Well,
Carlsbad.
Team B
It's Georgia.
is Georgia.
I figured Team B was
So
Georgia.
Georgia is Team B. They just beat Tennessee. They lost to Ole Miss, who lost to Kentucky. That is the team that lost to Kentucky, who is the worst team, arguably, in the SEC besides Mississippi State. So that is what Team C is. So Craig went with Georgia number 1. Team D would be Ole Miss.
I was going to guess Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is correction. No, they're
never
not.
mind.
Team C is Ole Miss. So Ole Miss is Team
you
C.
got them number 1.
So D is Georgia?
No,
Oh.
B is Georgia.
D
wait.
is Alabama.
Alabama.
So Alabama is D. Team A is Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Good old Tennessee.
Right.
Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee.
So Craig would have it Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss.
Okay.
And then Annie would have Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia.
Who's to say?
That's the thing. And that is what the committee has to come up with tomorrow. And not only does
How
the
would
committee
you
have to
have
come
it?
up with tomorrow, they would also, one of those schools is going to be out. So, like, one of those would be on the outside looking in. Since Team C did not play 2 of the 3, and the 3 have all beat each other in, like, a fair 3-way tiebreaker, I'd probably put those 3 and then Ole Miss.
Okay.
And, based on just watching the games and everything like that, I'd probably go Georgia, and then I'd probably go Georgia, Tennessee, then Alabama.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've watched them both. They've got strengths and weaknesses.
But it's
But
hard.
that's where
I
the
mean, think
decision
about how
is, right.
difficult it's going to be there, right? And then you got to throw in the Big Ten schools, right? Like Indiana's 10-0, but they've played the easiest schedule out of any Big Ten school. I mean, their Big Ten opponents. This is who Indiana's played for their 10 wins: Florida International, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State. Their best win was last week or 2 weeks ago when they played Michigan. That's their 10-0.
Sounds like St. Augustine's might be favored
Right?
As a road team.
So now they got Ohio State, and then they finished the season with Purdue, who might be the worst team in the Big Ten. In fact, they are the worst team in the Big Ten. So you look at that schedule, and you're like, well, Indiana's 10-0. How are they behind a 9-1 Penn State? Well, Penn State's played better teams, right? And here's the other thing that cracks me up. Let me ask you this. There's no right or wrong answer, and they go both ways. Penn State played ranked Illinois earlier in the season. They beat ranked Illinois. If Illinois, throughout the rest of the season, no longer is ranked, should Penn State get a ranked win for beating Illinois?
Because they're not right. Because
They're no longer
at the
ranked.
time.
Illinois is no longer ranked, but when Penn State played Illinois, they were a ranked team.
Then yes, Penn State should get a.
Should they get a ranked win for
Yeah.
beating Illinois?
Yes.
I think they should.
I
agree
think
with
they should.
that.
Because when
They
you
beat 'em at
played
the
them,
time,
they were
right.
ranked.
Right.
It's not your fault if they decided to just fall off the face of the earth, right? It's like when you played them, they were ranked. The same thing happened at TCU in 2022. They won 4 straight ranked victories, but those 4 ranked teams all started to drop off, and at the end of the season, they were credited with no ranked wins. But at the same time, they'll do the same thing they'll flip it for the SEC schools. Like, well, that team was ranked at the time. Oh, so is it a ranked win or is it not a ranked win? Changing the narrative for the different things. This is why
It's a
automatic
mess.
qualifiers need to be a thing. Well, it's going to even be more of a mess because they don't have divisions, and so the champions are going to be crazy. I mean, right now, Penn State's ranked above Indiana, but Indiana, with the win against Ohio State, is in the Big Ten championship game, and Penn State will be on the outside looking in. It will be Indiana and Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. Is it better to not play in a championship game and have a bye and go to the playoff? I mean, it's utter chaos.
Right, because
Yeah.
that's the one question. I know we got a break soon, but the one question I was going to ask was if Indiana, let's just say it loses 42-6 to
Right.
Oregon, which I think would be pretty reasonable. In the
So you're
Big
saying they beat Ohio State and then get smoked by Oregon in the championship?
just get destroyed.
right.
Like, do they make the playoff? Or how
I
about,
don't know. Right? I mean, then all of a sudden you look at the strength of schedule and be like, well, they did beat Ohio State on the road, but then they just got hammered by Oregon. Like,
Right.
are they 11 or 12? How does that compare with the SEC? It's just too much. There's too much of opinion on who do you think somebody is, like, who is good
Not enough
based on
dominance.
bias, because
Yeah.
the way that the AP poll shakes out at the beginning of the year, it's all the same schools every year that have the right logos in the right conferences, and it skews all your data for the entire year because that same, Penn State win at the beginning of the year, if it's a ranked team, right? would then all of a sudden change because we just like SC every year is ranked in the top 25. Is USC a top 25 team? Probably not, but the schools that beat USC when they're ranked, shouldn't they get a ranked win?
I think if you beat them when they're ranked, it should count as a ranked win.
Right, but if they're ranked at the beginning of the year because, of biases,
but
of them being
flawed system.
Right, it's a flawed system.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes it all like, how do you take it all that seriously? But you have to, I mean, it's college football, it's
it just
obviously
shows
a
how
huge thing, but
dumb some of the rankings are when you have humans involved trying to pick. I mean, at the beginning of the year, if you look at, the preseason rankings for the top 25, you had USC ranked at 23. Arizona was 21. Arizona can't even buy a Big 12 victory. Oklahoma's gotten smashed in every SEC game. They were ranked 16th. Oklahoma State was ranked 17th. I mean, schools that beat them early in the season. Do you count that? I mean, do you get a ranked win for that? You should. They were ranked. But the whole process of who is ranked before the season starts skews all of these ratings, and they all skew in favor of two conferences, the two that get the most money from ESPN, and they're talked about the most on ESPN.
I mean, they need to look at that system. I don't know if they would.
Insanity.
But ranking them the way that they do,
I mean,
not the best way.
Utah was ranked 12th at the beginning of the season. Utah, Arizona, Oklahoma State are going to finish the bottom three in the Big 12. They were all ranked to start the year. It's a system that needs to be evaluated, which they never will because at the same time, remember, the college football playoff is not funded by the NCAA. It is funded by ESPN. It is a separate invitational. So they get
what's good for their
broadcast. Exactly.
Yeah.
What schools are going to get a better draw? I mean, TCU's got a small living alumni.
Yeah.
They're not a big draw compared to Ohio State or Alabama or Texas.
It's very subjective.
It's very subjective. And we know how TV ratings work.
Right.
You want the best schools for the best. You want the biggest schools with
the
Jake
biggest. Paul and Mike Tyson.
Right. That would be like a committee picking for professional sports, and it's like, well, the Yankees and Dodgers are a good draw. Give them the benefit of the doubt. We think they're a little bit better. Let's put them in.
Yeah.
College football, when compared to professional sports, just shows how nuts it is.
Yeah,
how
it's
it
Wild
doesn't
Wild
make
West.
any sense.
It's broken.
It's like Craig trying to explain to American how European soccer works. It actually makes sense.
Right.
And then you explain college football to a European soccer fan,
And
they'd
they
be
would
like,
just laugh
what
at
is
your
wrong
ass.
with
There's
you?
a lot of problems.
What
there,
is wrong with you? Why would you do this? It is the greatest
test, by the way.
It is the greatest. I think it's the greatest sport in America, college football, and it is scheduled and ran the worst out of any sport in the United States.
Let's take our last time out of the show. When we come back, it is time for you to ask us anything. That's how it works. Last segment of the show, we open up the phones. First, we have to do that. Hang on. Done. 833. Got to wait for the horn to finish. 833-288-0973. No, that was not a foul.
Not a foul.
Oh.
That was
phone
the
lines.
same line. Sort of like how, you've got words that same spelling, different meaning.
Yeah.
The horn can mean a personal foul. It can
Or
also
sub.
mean the phone lines are now open.
Like, okay.
Final shot.
Like aloha means hello and goodbye.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah.
Mahalo.
Right.
A
Mahalo,
cuenta
yes.
is a story, but a cuenta is also an account, so on and so forth. So, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. You've got 8 minutes and 30 seconds to call the show. And if you do call within that 8-minute, 30-second time period, we're going to put you on the air. We're going to do it. 833-288-0973. All we need is for you to have a question ready to ask the show. And when you do that, we will all be happy. Annie and Elsten, ask us anything next on The Fan. All right, welcome back, everybody. First show of the week. It's been a fun one. Tomorrow, back with more. I'll be at the Gonzaga game tonight. We'll find out what we got to say about that.
Yeah.
Hopefully something happening in the hot stove. I don't know. I shouldn't get my hopes up.
Well, we'll have the Rookie of the Year to talk about.
We'll have the Rookie of the Year to talk about.
Paul Skeens to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Mike Schilt, it'll be his day to be on the hot seat in
Yes.
terms of can he get an award or not.
You can let us know from Viejas Arena what celebrities were there.
Yes.
You know
I mean, if I see them,
what the
I'll
mood
have to
was
spot
like.
them first.
Right, that's true. We'll probably
mood was
find
like.
that out on social media and not through you, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, that's probably
I mean, it's
reasonable.
kind of sometimes hard to see who's there if you're not like sitting. You'd have to like walk around the whole court, kind
Right.
of. You know.
And where are they going to put me? I mean,
Yeah,
if
I
I'm
mean,
way up
yeah.
as they said up at the
Yeah.
top, like,
I'd bring binoculars if I were you.
ooh, that's a tip. I don't think I'm going to bring binoculars. That would
What is
that would
this?
seem geeky.
What
Like,
is this, an arena for ants?
Can I bring my binoculars in? I want to get a closer look at
You're,
the
a,
action.
you're a media guy. Of course you can bring your binoculars in.
Excuse me.
How are you supposed to go? How are you supposed to go celebrity
I'm
hunting
going to be celebrity hunting. I need
if
my
you
binoculars.
don't have your binoculars?
You're from the Audubon Society of Celebrities.
That's right.
all right, let's hit the bumper. The number is 833-288-0973. If you want to call in the next 30 seconds, you can get in. But Charles and Ramona understood the assignment. He got in quick, and here he is. Hi, Charles. Ask us anything.
Hey, so, I just had a question for you, Craig. You sing in the shower?
Do I what?
Sing in the shower,
You
Craig.
Do I sing in the shower? Not often. I won't say that I've never sang in the shower, but usually I'll have a show that I throw on my laptop and just put it in and I'll listen, like sports or whatever.
How long is your showers?
10 minutes, maybe?
Wow, that is a long
Really?
time.
Do you think a 10-minute shower is a long shower?
Yes, because I get
Not for me.
MF for taking a 5-minute shower.
Really?
Yes. Everybody in my family takes a shower under 5 minutes.
What do you say, Charles? What's your favorite song in the shower?
My favorite song in the shower? Oh, my goodness. God. It's a Journey song, but the name has left me. Is that
Don't
dumb?
Stop Believin'?
Yes.
Your favorite shower song?
It's
I
a new
hope you
thing.
sing that in the shower today.
Don't stop
Yeah.
believing. All right, Charles. Good stuff,
Great
brother.
stuff, Charles.
Here's Martin and Santee. Hi, Martin. Ask us anything.
Good afternoon. This one's for Braden.
All right.
Braden,
right.
Congratulations. Congratulations on the win on Friday.
Yes.
Thank you.
I listened to your show for the first time yesterday morning, so great show.
Thank you.
So it got me to thinking, what, from a passion standpoint or an opportunity standpoint, if you've got, a great coaching job versus a great radio show opportunity, which direction would you go if you had to make a choice?
Yeah, that's obviously a very difficult choice. I mean, I think it obviously depends on the job, but if we're going national radio show versus like a college head football coach where the money's relatively the same, I think that'd be a very very difficult decision. I don't know. If I was getting paid as much as some of those college football coaches, it might be college football.
It's got to be college football, bro. It's got to be college football because then when you're done with that, then you've got
Then you could
You
do
can
the
still broadcast.
right
thing for
Yeah.
the radio.
Then you
It's
got radio.
Get
but
more fodder.
Yeah.
I do want a family, and it's very difficult to
True.
put your family through the live
Good
of being a
perspective.
That's
coach.
true.
'cause
That's
Perspective.
there's a lot of times where even when you win, you don't get renewed a contract, or
No,
then you have to go
right.
somewhere else because it's like, well, they're going to pay you $10 million. Or if you're a coordinator and your head coach gets a better job, you either
Yeah.
go with him or you get left. You get fired. It's a tough
Married to the
tough,
game.
It's a tough business. So
Yeah.
it's a great question though. You're not the first one to ask that. I appreciate the question.
Well, it's impossible for him to answer, Martin.
It
You
is
just,
hard to
Let's
answer.
see
You
what
have
they
to
offer
have the
first.
offers in front of him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just good luck with whatever decision and ultimately you'll make.
Well, I appreciate that, Martin. Thanks
A
again.
very nice
Appreciate
call.
you, man.
Yes.
Very nice call.
Super good.
Hopefully, Martin will be at the game on Saturday. Trying to get as many people out to Snapdragon Stadium as possible Saturday night at 7 o'clock.
This one's ringing in that you think's a telemarketer.
It is a telemarketer.
Should I just take it just to see what happens?
Sure. 97 through the fan.
Welcome. Ask us anything.
Nothing.
All right. Well,
Cat got your tongue?
All they did was record your voice, and now they're going to use it against you with AI.
Great. Now in a deep fake, I'm out
Yep.
there.
right.
That's not good.
Son of a...
Which, well, I'm not going to say it.
Good. Let discretion be the better part of your valor.
I don't want to give anybody ideas.
All right. We're at the end of this one. I didn't really mention the 20 seconds. Chiefs finally lost. I think that's probably good on them.
Overtaking them, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good on them. They needed to lose a game. They were doing that teetering winner thing where every week they progressively play worse yet still win.
They find a way to make the win.
John Bones Jones won.
John Bones Jones. We didn't get to the UFC. I didn't get to watch that, but I heard it was good.
One of the best fighters of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
Just some PED scandals and in a non-popular weight class, but that guy might be. Dana White said he's the best fighter he's ever seen.
Nice. A better fight than the Tyson fight.
That goes without saying, but we just said it nonetheless. Well, that's it for today's show. We're right back with you tomorrow at 10 a.m., but stay tuned. Gwen and Chris coming up at 2 o'clock. Monday Night Football starts at 4:30. For Annie and Braden, I'm Craig. See ya.
Bye.